My favorite, probably my favorite, although there are so many good videos that I'm fortunate to have on here, but man, do I love that one. Welcome, everybody. It is good to see you all. Welcome to a Saturday night stream. It is just after 8 p.m. Eastern on May 13th, 2023. And this is day 12 of Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks, sponsored as always by Alligator Alley Entertainment. This is called Into the Badlands for our session tonight. Actually, Through the Badlands, I beg your pardon. And I am very excited to have Expedition rolling again. We were supposed to have this at the end of last month, but I was under the weather and we had some other scheduling issues, so we could not do it, but we are back with the full crew tonight, and I'm excited to get this adventure back underway and rolling. Before we do that, though, just a couple of reminders about ways to support us here on the channel. If you haven't done so already, please follow us here on the channel. Please check out our YouTube with !ArvTube. Discord is !ArvCord. And also, I know who Author Little Badger is. It is good to see you, and thank you so much. This is, I think it's okay. I think it's okay to announce. Well, probably, is it okay for me to announce this, Author Little Badger, who you actually are, since it's pretty close to your name, actually? I just want to make sure that I know, because there may be connections later on with this. Yes, okay. This is actually Darcy Little Badger, who is an author, of course, and has played in a couple of our Speculate campaigns. Not campaigns, but really like one-shots, adventures, things like that. And there may or may not be more involvement, possibly, that Darcy Little Badger may have with us. So welcome. It is good to see you. Thank you for stopping by. I'm glad that you got an event. And yes, I thank you. I'm a big fan of that video intro. That's done by Peripheral Mike, is the name of the guy who does the video. And the music was done by the amazing Chrono Wolf, who has also done music for a ton of my other work. So very excited about that. Oh, and Prince Justin has given a sub to the aforementioned Author Little Badger. It's good to see you. Thank you so much for being here and joining us, and thanks for giving that sub. I appreciate that, Prince Justin. We have a very generous, wonderful community here. So thank you, everyone, for doing that, and welcome as well, Author Little Badger, to the stream. So again, following the channel is great. Checking out the YouTube, and please subscribe to me over there. That's free to do. You can see past broadcasts of this and other streams. !ArvTube, !ArvCord is the Discord channel where you can hang out with the Arvanauts in between streams, and our website for all of this is, my Twitter, I should mention that, is !ArvTweets until that site collapses, and then my website for all of this is arvaneleron.com. Financially, !ArvShop is the merchandise area. We're going to have more merchandise, different kinds of merchandise. In fact, as we speak, Little Arv is literally working on this project as we speak right now, so we are making progress and shifting and moving things around, and I am working on licensing stuff for some of the images. So very exciting. We're going to be reopening that pretty soon, I would think. If not by ArvCon, then certainly by June we should have that up and running, which I'm excited about. That's !ArvShop. !ArvTrayon is the Patreon, which is 18 patrons, $169 per month. That is what allows us to commission videos like what you just saw and overlays and things like that. So any support people can give there is much appreciated. You can also get awesome stuff for yourself individually, like an epic character background written for you, or an epic poem written about you, or inspirations to help our tabletop players, etc. So there's a lot of cool stuff you can get with that. Please consider supporting us there, and please consider as well subscribing to the channel, because that allows you to get custom sub badges and emotes, as was just done. So for example, Author Little Badger will now be able to throw around emotes like they're going out of style, and thanks to Prince Justin. So those emotes can be used on all Twitch places, and also, of course, those custom sub badges, and you can also get inspirations if you subscribe at a high enough tier to support our players as well. So that's always a lot of fun. I do want to remind everybody that during these sessions, cheering, so literally cheering, which you can do as you watch on your computer or on your phone, all the bits collected today will go directly to the players. They are basically collected together, and then at the end of every month, I add up the bits from the 2 sessions that we play, and then I distribute those among the players. So the players do get paid a little bit, and this is a way to sort of think of it, I guess, as a way of tipping them for entertainment value if you're getting something out of them. It's never an obligation, of course, but it's always appreciated, and so that's something to think about if you want to support the players directly. Let's see. On the publishing side, Icarus is my graphic novel from Athos Arts. Library is my Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, my 5e adventure and source book from Alligator Alley Entertainment, which is, of course, responsible for sponsoring this campaign, Expedition for the Mysterious Mysterious Peaks. And Exclamation Point Greyshade is my novel from Athos Arts as well. Award-winning silver medalist novel, I should say. You can get that book right now. You can also pre-order the sequel to it, Renegade, which will be coming out later this year in July. Heretic, the final book in the series, will be coming out next year. You can pre-order at that link as well. You can also order the audiobook from Tren, which is already done. Tren Sparks has finished it. It is out and available at that link and elsewhere. And you can also pre-order the tabletop role-playing game of Greyshade, coming from the incredible, the incomparable Brandon O'Brien, and which will be published by Alligator Alley. So a lot of cool stuff you can get at Exclamation Point Greyshade. Last but certainly not least, Exclamation Point BLM, Black Lives Matter, important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. Exclamation Point Help Now, the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention, important to reach out to others when you need help and to reach out to others when they need help as well. And Exclamation Point Ukraine, Ukraine, to help the people of Ukraine as they fight back bravely and are winning, but are doing so obviously with a great cost. It has devastated their country, and this is a chance to step up for them and send a message. We will do so for others in the future. Lastly, as I've been talking about all along, this event, the Klein event, is going to be the kickoff event for ArvCon 2023, which is now less than 2 weeks away. Thursday, May 25th at 6 p.m. Eastern, we will have a live Dungeons & Dragons event at the historic Klein Memorial Auditorium in Bridgeport, Connecticut. For the first time ever, this historic place is going to be hosting a Dungeons & Dragons event. We are going to have lots and lots of giveaways and things like that, and we are going to have our players of Carlos Hernandez, of C.S.E. Cooney, of Robert Austin James, otherwise known as Darkside Rob, and of Zach Clay, who may have some familiarity with some of you watching this campaign, and Adam Petrosino, who is the award-winning high school student that we announced yesterday as having won the essay contest to participate. And the 5 players will be going through My Night at the Forbidden Library, all to benefit the Klein, but especially to benefit the Damon Runyon Cancer Research Foundation in front of a live audience. That will kick off ArvCon 2023, which will run all weekend with multiple tabletop campaigns, including this one that you're watching, which will have a major session happening that Friday night. So it is $5 tickets to get in the door. It's $5 tickets online as well, and you can do all of that by checking out Exclamation Point Klein, and then you will be able to get something. If you want more info, here you go. You should be able to, pause the stream or take a clip or something and then scan that code, and that will also give you the information you need as well. So please do all those things. Gave a bunch of flyers out over the last couple of days. I'm going to be doing radio and television interviews and stuff like that. And next week, I'm announcing the corporate sponsors for ArvCon, the official corporate sponsors. I am up now to 8. I expect to have 1 or 2 more. We had 8 last year as well. So I'm hoping to have at least as many as we had last year, maybe 1 or 2 more on top of that. And I'm also going to be announcing, again, I've already announced this, but I'm going to be tweeting out the schedule, and I would love it if people could retweet and post it. And thanks to everyone who retweeted and posted my information about Adam Petrosino, the high school student from yesterday. All right, with that said, I'm going to unmute myself and apologize unreservedly to whoever I interrupted because I can't hear them in my crew. And then I'm going to unmute them. And last but certainly not least, I'm going to go over to reveal to you the incredible crew. That's right. They are here. They are ready. They are prepared. They've never been more prepared. They've said, quote, "Bring it on. Nothing you do could be any danger to us." Okay, now I'm making all that up. But it is great to have the whole crew with us of Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks. And I will start with the gentleman at the top left of the screen who had the right answer when I asked what was the most powerful combination of music and scene in the original Star Wars movies, and he properly responded. I'm just kidding. I was just asking because I wondered. But it's, of course, the amazing Johnny Pittman. Johnny, it's good to see you. How are you? How's life in the universe with you? Who are you playing tonight?
I believe I answered with a tie. One scene was the scene that you mentioned.
That's fine. That's the only one that matters. We don't need to go on to the other scenes. It's just the scene that mattered was the one that you mentioned.
All right. Anyways, I'm doing okay. Stuck here still in Virginia. Weather has been a little bit more chaotic. It is no longer a mellow sort of like spring or summer or spring or whatever. I guess we're still in. We're getting some thunderstorms. Friends in California are having nice weather apparently. As I understand, Zach, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but everybody keeps telling me it's just beautiful right now. Man,
yeah.
Exactly. Things are good. Life, universe, and everything. Go see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It was pretty good. And I'm playing a Zek by the name of Titus, who is an engineer, and if I remember correctly, is small enough that if I read these creatures correctly, they could become my mount. And so I'm pondering how I'm going to actually get one of these cyber wolves, mechanical wolves, whatever, to be my ride. So
Right. It's not about surviving a potential attack. It's about, excuse me, it's about turning them into a mount. That's really
it's about the cool factor.
right.
All
No,
right.
sure.
It's
I mean,
the cool
that's,
factor.
yeah, naturally, that's the key, I think.
I mean, it's
sure.
like we'll turn him into like Sir Didymus from Labyrinth, right? He'll ride a big fluffy dog around the entire time.
Yes, I am excited to see how that goes down. As Titus is like, perhaps you'd like to, like as they charge over. It's going to be great. Always a pleasure to have Johnny with us. Also a great pleasure to have Toya with us, who, even if no one else knows it, shared a really funny meme thing with me about football, and I found it very amusing. But when not doing that, and when not doing amazing stuff in the world, Toya, it is good to see you. I hope that all is okay with you. How is life in the universe with you, and who are you playing in our session tonight?
Well, even though you are a 49er 69er Stars fan, you are a man of good
49ers,
taste.
69ers Stars.
So I thought you would appreciate that.
It is true. At least we literally exist. At least my team literally exists.
Yes, that is going for them. Yes, there are other things going for them as well. It's warm here in Nashville, and it's funny. Johnny mentioned the weather. It starts getting at the end of spring, and I don't like going outside because I don't like warm weather. So I can't even tell you what it's like out there. I've been doing pretty decently. Going to hope that allergies don't take over here. Today I am playing a human bard named Nalik, who goes by Nulls Darkly, and trying to figure out the different tales that I have at my disposal. I did choose College of Spirits. That was a thing last time.
Okay, so I was going to ask, because you said you would know. College of Spirits. Okay.
Yep. So Zach and I were going over that just a few minutes ago. So I think I will roll that on out tonight and see how that goes.
Good stuff. I am excited to hear from Nulls. And I should mention, by the way, chat, that character art for these 4 wonderful characters is just about finished. And I don't know that we'll be able to debut it at ArvCon, maybe, but if not then certainly by next month we will have the character art for these amazing folks. So you'll get a chance to see what they look like as Hannah does her usual amazing work with this crew. So always a pleasure to have Toya with us, and also a pleasure as always to have Kat with us. It is good to see you, Kat. I hope all is well. How exactly is Midwestern weather? I mean, now we don't have to worry about snow. So now has it just been ridiculous or anything like that? And then how are you and who are you playing?
Slammed from winter into summer pretty much, and skipped spring. It felt like it was got in the 80s here today. So yeah, it's nice, but getting warm. I don't particularly love the really warm. So I stay inside, but I've been working in my garden. So life is pretty good.
Okay, that's good. Wait.
And I am running Fob, a lizard folk rogue.
A lizard folk rogue. Yes, the choices were made by the players, and I'll mention that during the recap in just a moment. Always a pleasure to have the incredible Kat Rambo with us, who, again, Chad, I'm not going to say anything for sure, but when I announce the sponsors for ArvCon, there may be some connection possibly to something that Kat may be involved with, maybe as part of that. We'll see. We don't know. He said in the worst concealed, connections of all time. Anyway, it's always a pleasure to have Kat with us. Also approve of the shirt, by the way. And moving right along to the amazing Zach Clay, who will be part of that Klein kickoff event, as I mentioned, and is going to be flying out for it. Although is not the only one, because as we discovered, Hillness is also flying out to watch this, which is commitment. That is what I'm talking about here, to actually see the production in person, which is really cool. But Zach is flying out to be a part of it. It's going to be amazing. And Zach, when not being amazing in those ways, I would ask, how's life with you, and who are you playing in today's session?
Life is great. A lot of D&D and D&D and Esper Genesis and Esper Genesis. and other RPGs. I just bought the other day the Avatar Legends role-playing game. I'm looking forward to
Yep.
somehow figuring out how to play that and getting a group of friends together to play it. That'll be fun. So yeah, lots of RPGs and lots of stuff. Super excited to come east later this month for that.
It's gonna be awesome.
Otherwise, tonight I am excited to play Dr. Keldon Jaraxxus, the Dendis Cybermancer, who is a celebrity, scientist, influencer. Reduce, reuse, recycle.
I have the image that that's the badge that just and do this. Zing, with a little stinger, as you in the videos. It is a great pleasure to have this amazing crew with us. Let's fire up a little bit of music, and let's talk about. Let's see, we'll go with. We got the. Let's go with maybe this. He said. That seems about right. That sounds very Badlandsy to me. So, chat, I will bring you over to the map and welcome you all to the Badlands. We are here on having just gotten out of this area of Camria down to New Camimport. And this crew of players, of course, these are the players that were chosen, or the characters, I should say, that were chosen by the players to go with Lou Whisperwind, who is heading south with the crew to try to find her parents, who live in Celis and may be able to provide some assistance to whatever has happened up in Camria. Clearly, something has gone badly wrong. There have been essentially a dictatorial takeover by some cult that apparently has some outsized hold upon the High Prelate and others. And so we are in the series now of trying to figure that out, while at the same time trying to figure out the mysterious signal that has been echoing from this planet, which is, of course, the main concern, or was the main concern, of both Titus and Dr. Jaraxxus, which is why they came to this planet in the first place. As for Nulls and for Fob, they would like to know what the hell's going on with their planet in terms of who's taking over. And so they have banded together, two from the galaxies and the outer rim of space, and two from this planet together. They have banded together to try to figure this out collectively. When leaving New Camimport, they, of course, also are not completely, I should say, without not a time limit, but they're not without some pressure, because behind them runs the guards who clearly have been sent down, presumably, to find these people, specifically Fob and Nulls, who escaped from the city and barely made it out with their lives, and, maybe took out a few people while they were doing so. And so there is a little bit of pressure that may be associated with them as well, while meanwhile, the Sunrider, the ship that both Titus and Dr. Jaraxxus took down to the planet, crash landed, and there is this question of what's going to happen to the crew and all that. So everyone's got things to think about, is my point, in addition to trying to get here to Celis with Elu. There were three options that were given to them, basically three options that are presented more or less, which is how to cross over the Badlands. And if you look at this map, you'll see that there were three basic ways to do it. One was to go more or less directly south, going down this way directly from New Camimport, which was the village through which they first went. And the problem that existed with this was that if they were to go directly south, there was the risk that they were going to be running right past a place called the Bones of Hypox, where there are man-eating and poisonous plants. And trespassers, many a trespasser, have been lured to their doom in that place. And that was right here. So the party was like, yeah, that doesn't sound great. So then the second option was for them to go this way and then go directly down the center of what is known as the Cleft, a rocky chasm which is hundreds of feet wide and just as deep, that serves as a border between the Badlands to the east and the Valley of Ancients to the west. And there used to be bridges over there, and in fact there is one bridge that still may exist there that we're going to talk about in just a moment. But the thought was they could try to get down into the Cleft and go south. That way they don't have to worry about this Bones of Hypox thing. The problem is, first you got to go down, somehow get into this Cleft without dying, and as Titus and Jaraxxus know, That is not always the easiest thing to do when climbing down from a certain elevated position without falling. So there is that issue. But beyond that, they also have other concerns. For example, the fact that the cleft is a place for ambush with many creatures that may wander it. And down here, formations of razor-sharp metal, not unlike stalagmites, are called the spine fields. And getting through those was going to be no fun when they actually arrived there, if they were to survive it. That left us with a choice which the party ultimately decided, even though, as Johnny, I believe, said at the end of our last session, this was also not a good option. It's just the best of 3 bad options. And that was crossing over a place called First Span, a bridge that is still standing and still maintained, over to this side, and then to cross south, going along the eastern edge of the cleft, thereby missing the creatures that are in there. Don't have to worry about the bones of Hypox, etc. Don't have to worry about the spine fields because you can stay to the east of it. It is a little bit longer of a route, and of course, by going to the east, you are going to have to contend with Fingerbone's Spire, which is this place just to the east of the cleft. But hey, nothing ventured, nothing gained. The party recognized that it was sure there was going to be no problem with handling all of this, whatever it was they faced. They would manage it. And so they set off in a merry mood. I'm making most of that up. They were very worried. But they set off to the east and found 2 things in our last session. One, they found a tree, a rotting tree, just solo by itself, which had this strange fruit. And I believe, I don't remember how much of the fruit you picked. Was it Jaraxxus that picked some of this? I don't remember who picked the fruit, actually.
I did.
You did, and I
think.
believe you tried it, if I'm not mistaken, and discovered that it was actually nourishing and actually was, health producing. So that was odd. But as they were stepping away from the tree and again heading east, probably about an hour and a half or so from the First Span, the bridge that crosses over the cleft, they heard in the distance these ghostly howls, and they saw coming towards them these glints of metal on these 3 creatures. As the 3 creatures drew close, they saw that they were large beasts. They were in fact wolves, but they were armor-plated, and their howls were metallic sounding. And so as we begin our session today, folks, we're going to begin the way that everyone loves to start an adventure, and that is by rolling initiative, please, for everybody. And we got a fight going on. Well, maybe, unless Titus convinces them to be their mount. So let me fire up some combat music, and let me have them all, please, roll initiative for me. Okay, soundscape. I will turn off Ancient Artifact for now, and I will turn on some Fight for the Future. There we go. All right, let's see what we've got. So, Jaraxxus has got the big old 5. Jaraxxus clearly getting ready for just the right shot, the right video shot.
Of course.
We've got, let's see, Titus with a 13. All right. We have Fob with an 11. And we have Nulls with, but it's more than that, right? It's 9 plus your dex. Toya, what's that? Your modifier?
3, I think.
Okay, so you would have a 12. All right. Well, let's see what the wolves roll. That would be nice, huh? Everyone wants to know that. Let's see. The wolves are going to roll.
Sorry, that's 4. My dex is 4.
Ah, okay. So you've got a 13. Lovely. Okay. Let's see. So. Okay. 14. 12, 6, 5, 2. Okay. Lovely. All right. So. All right. These wolves, and they are very large wolves, much larger than a normal wolf would be, are going to go first. Just before I do that, Titus, what is your dexterity score? Just raw dex score?
18.
Okay. And Nulls, what is yours? Just your dex score, not the modifier, but just the raw score.
14.
14. Okay. So then Titus is going to win that tie. And there we go. Okay, so the wolves are going to be first to act. There are 3 of them. And as they draw close, you notice a couple of things about them that are unusual. First of all, they are indeed armor plated. They have armor plates along their backs and sides, and you can actually see, also Prince Justin, that's tremendous, and I'd like to subscribe to your newsletter. And you can see as they draw close, you can see that their eyes are glowing a kind of bright red. Again, almost metallic in nature, although clearly, they also have fur on their legs and they have fur tails, and so they look like a combination of wolves but they're armored, basically. So, okay. Right. So let's see. So they're going to charge in with this, right? Okay. So they're going to charge in. Now they are charging towards you directly. They're also moving, I should say, at a fairly quick pace. I mean, they're running, but I mean, like, at a speed where they close the gap very quickly. They are going to break off. 2 of them are going to go after one of you, and one is going to go after the other. So 2 of them are going to go after, I think, well, let's see. I'm going to have them choose randomly because you're all basically in the same spot. Okay, so 2 of them. Oh, and I guess I should ask, Titus, you were out of the pack, right? That Jaraxxus was holding you in. We made this joke about you being Baby Yoda, and you were in the pack that Jaraxxus was using. I think you were on the ground when this happened because of the whole thing with the fruit. Am I right about that?
Right, exactly. I'm going to be working towards getting an IG-88.
Yeah,
so.
No, that's a good idea. I don't disagree.
Of course.
Okay, so they are going to basically pull to either side. Well, no, and there's Elu too, actually. Wait, let me add her in. Okay, good. That's fortunate. That means they're not going to attack you, Titus. They're going to attack Elu, which I'm sure you'd probably prefer. I mean, not that you want anything bad to happen to her, but still. 2 of them are going to flank her, and one of them is going to attempt to attack you, Titus. And I would like you to make a perception check for me as they come close to you, please, Titus. And I think I'll give this to you at +3 because you are an engineer.
Okay. Perception. Here we go. How about a 17?
Yep. As these things close on you, you hear a zzz, 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 like a servo that seems to be coming from somewhere. Now, the legs are not metallic. They are armored, as I said, but the legs look to be at least fur-covered. But you definitely hear the sound of a servo shifting and pivoting as these creatures run, for whatever that's worth to you. You can't tell if it's coming from inside them or like near them, but it's definitely being produced by them in some context. So
each of them are I'm assuming that they're close enough that I can at least get a sense of all 3 of them.
Oh yes, absolutely you can.
And so each of them are making their own distinct sound, or
yes,
they're
well, I wouldn't say distinct. Yeah, they're each individually producing that sound, but they're all the same sound. They're the same kind of mechanical servo shifting, as if something is pivoting metallically, but you don't know exactly what.
And they're all are they? Well, so when I'm asking is if they're a distinct sound, are we hearing 3 sounds that are happening at different?
Yes.
Sort of rhythms or at pitches?
That's correct,
potentially...
at different rhythms, but they're all the same sound. So they seem to be produced by the same, within each of them, mechanical whatever, but they are, but they're not, they're not in sync with each other, I guess is the way I would put that. Okay, so the first attack's on Elu. Both of them are going to miss. And I should say that they are attacking from either side using mechanically what we call pack tactics, which means that they get advantage on attacks against you as long as they are working with each other. So working together in a pack is not good for the home team in the sense that you are the home team. Okay, let's see. That second one is going to hit Elu. Let's see. And let's see what we've got for damage on that. Okay. Okay. One of them bites into Elu's leg, and she gives a shout of pain, although she's not close to death or anything, but it did strike a solid blow. And it tries to use its weight to overbear Elu, but Elu is able to kind of twist so that the wolf goes flying off, lands on its back, and then growling. And again, it's this metallic, but you hear it as a metallic growl, comes back up to its feet. So she was not knocked prone. Now, Titus, the one is going to attack you. And again, this is also going to get advantage on you, even though it's not flanking you, because it's right next to its other creatures. As long as they're within a certain distance of each other, they get this benefit. So they're going to attempt to attack you at advantage. And the second, so that's a 14 or a 17. Does either one of those hit?
14 would miss, 17 is going to hit.
Okay, so that's that advantage again. So they do hit with the 17. This one does hit. It is going to do to you. It is going to do 8 points of piercing damage. And I need you to make for me, please, a strength saving throw as this thing tries to knock you prone.
Okay.
Hey, Amandageddon. That's right, we're nerds. Proud of it. Proud of it.
About a 17.
That will definitely do it. You managed to hold on. I actually am curious. How does Titus resist being knocked over by this dire wolf? Please tell me. I love it. It works, however you do it. So you tell me.
Well, so let me ask you this question. What is the size of this thing? Like, are we talking a medium-sized creature?
It is yes, I would say it is like a wolf that's the size of just below the size of a pony. It's a big wolf.
Titus is 2 feet tall.
Right.
So Titus
That's why I was curious about this.
Kind of, use his size and momentum to just be able to kind of duck and roll as he gets scraped, but just kind of like move on and go, come on, kind of a thing.
All right, I love it. Well, that's good timing because you're going to be going as soon as Elu goes. Elu is next to maneuver. And Elu yells out, "We've got to split them up," and then brings down her staff. Do I still have a picture of Elu somewhere? I should. Chat should definitely want to see the incredible Elu Whisperwind. There we go. All right, and she's going to bring her sword to bear on these creatures. Okay, she will attack twice. Her first one will miss. Her second one will hit, though, on one of the ones that attacked her. Okay, so she slashes the side of one of them, and it gives a mechanical yelp and then growls at her, again with that metallic sound in its voice. And Titus, that's going to lead us to you. So you've got one wolf in front of you, and then 2 wolves on either side of Elu as we speak.
Okay, Can I disengage and then also do a mechanics roll to identify? Because look, so I'm in close quarters with this thing. It's attacked me and damaged me.
Oh yeah.
Perception wise, I have noticed that there is something really distinctly going on with each of these creatures.
Yep.
So what Titus wants to do is he wants to put himself in a position where he can get the best advantage at continuing to observe what this thing is doing. So he's not going to engage. He's actually going to back off. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to roll a mechanics roll specifically to try to figure out if I can identify where the noise is and if it's a weakness.
Okay, I'll allow that. I think that is going to be something which takes an action, but I think you can get some benefits from it. Yep. I'll allow that. So disengage, you can definitely do that, especially because you weren't knocked prone. That just means you back off basically 5 feet, so you're able to step back from it as it growls. Go ahead.
With the intent of backing off in a direction that tries to pull the thing away from the path.
No, I got you.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. And then go ahead and make your mechanics roll. Again, I will give this to you at +3 for the same reason.
I was a 21.
Wow, that is good stuff. It's not a 17. That wasn't counting your. You sure you didn't
So
get
it's
a 13?
so no, it's a 17.
Okay, cool.
I mean, I'm sorry, it's a 21 because that's what is it?
Because I
it's
saw
my
the
wisdom.
4, I just didn't know if it counted it. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay,
Are
cool.
you,
21.
Arv, did you say he's getting a buff to it? Is that why?
He.
That's correct.
Oh, I see.
Sorry,
what you're
plus
saying.
3.
So +3. So that's what I was questioning.
20.
So
So
it's a
20.
20. Okay, then I
20.
got it.
My bad.
I was confused. I was like, okay, yes, now I get it. So 20. Yes. So, okay, what I can tell you about this is it's clear as you listen to this thing and as you look at it that this thing is, the armor plating seems to not be, this is not a construct that you're fighting. It seems to have been somehow either grafted on or somehow basically placed, and I don't want to use the term riveted because it's not like that, but attached in some way. Because you can note that there are 2 small wires that are running up from the armor plate into the ears of this thing. So there's something which has been done to this creature. It is clearly a large wolf of some kind, and in fact, some of you, if you wish, could try to identify what this wolf is. It's some large, massive wolf, naturally, but something has been done to give it this other mechanical addition. And in fact, Titus, you are reminded slightly in the looking at this of the armored creatures that you fought that had the men, the guys inside the powered armor suits that you might remember when you found Dartmouth that was running from them back before. That's what this reminds you of. Similar technology, you would suspect.
Okay, so would you? Okay, so one of the things about that, I'm gonna actually convey something to the group, but I just want to get a last bit of clarification. The way that you're describing it, it seems like there's a real difference between the quality of the workmanship between those creatures that were running from Dartmouth, right, and these creatures, or that Dartmouth was running from,
right,
and these wolves here. Like, is it? Would you say that it's like less craftsmanship wise? It's less like quality, or is that?
No, I wouldn't say that. I would say that this would remind you a lot of the similar technology that was used. Obviously, what you use on wolves is different than what you would use on humans or on humanoids, but it reminds you of very similar technology, which means presumably, not that you know a lot about this yet, but that this may also be Magitech powered, which is what you were told, remember, that those armored suits were as well, that this is somehow Magitech infused. And so that's information that you may be able to do with what you wish. But again, they're not constructs. They have had this mechanical stuff added to them in some way.
Titus kind of like makes his move back as he's, kind of angling and disengaging and just kind of like taking in, and you just see his eyes just kind of like dart around and his head is just kind of looking around, and he says, "All right, they're the mechanical stuff is grafted to them. The armor's grafted. Those are creatures under there. This looks like Magitech. And pay close attention to the gaps. That's where the noise is coming from. There may be a way to take advantage of it."
And Elu dodges a row and is just like, "You have a thought of how to do that?" Like as the thing are like jump, over the side and like
aim for the wires near the ears.
And she sort of, you hear her mutter some curse under her breath as she dodges another swipe of a huge paw, but she nods to you. What this means, I think everybody's within range enough that you're able to do this. So what I will say is, I'll give you options. If you attack the creature, I'll tell you what that information gives you when we get to your turn. Okay, good stuff, Titus. You've already done your move because of the disengage, so we'll move on to Nulls. Nulls, I will tell you that if you want to attack these creatures, you could just attack them straight up, or you could try to aim for the wires, which Titus has pointed out to you. It's going to be harder to hit the wires, but theoretically, if you hit them, you might do more damage to them because of that, if you follow what I mean. And
Okay.
you can also do none of that if you don't want to.
Yeah, I was going to ask, if I cast a spell, could I then take a bonus action of Bardic Inspiration?
I think Bardic Inspiration is a bonus action, I
Yeah.
believe. So
Okay,
yes.
so I want to make sure. Actually, because I have the, let me make sure I get the name correct here. I have the Speak with Animals spell,
Okay.
so I'm going to cast that.
Okay.
Just
Nice.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
okay. So I'm guessing that was successful.
Yeah, you can do that. You can
Okay.
you can just do that. That's that succeeds that where you're able to do that. What do you want to say? And of course, they may not, just because they can understand you doesn't mean they'll listen to you, but you can certainly do that.
Okay, so I call out to them. Wolves should be wild and free with no master. Who's controlling you?
And the one that's sort of like, you can see one of them, there's a very creepy moment where one of them like swirls its head towards you and you get like that piercing red laser eye sort of looking at you, and then says, "We have been made strong. Nothing controls us. We are stronger now since we have joined with the other."
Okay. So now I'm
Not
gonna,
what I meant for it to happen.
Yeah. But that's good information, actually. I'm gonna do the Bardic Inspiration
Okay.
and
On. Because that's... Ooh, nice. The big
Okay.
old 6. But who are you inspiring? Who are you giving that to?
so as my understanding is I have to then roll from one of the tail tables
Oh,
and
right,
it
because
Yes.
of College
does
of...
that
Yeah. Mhm.
randomly.
So that's
Um,
and that's exactly what you just did. So that 6 that you just rolled,
Yes.
that indicates the tail you now have stored.
Okay.
So what's number 6 on the table?
Oh.
Yeah, because I have
Um,
not played with a bard with this college before, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
6 is Tale of the Traveler. The target gains temporary hit points equal to a roll of your Bardic Inspiration die and your Bard level. While it has these temporary hit points, the target's walking speed increases by 10 feet and it gains a +1 bonus to its AC.
Wow. Okay. Now, I should have asked before. Probably in the future, we'll think about who you're targeting before you do this, but that's okay. So for now...
Well, yeah, and that's actually how it works. So I didn't realize this, but she uses a bonus action to determine the tail, and then it's stored until her next short or long rest.
Oh, okay.
And so
she
she
doesn't
uses
have to
an
use it yet.
action-
Okay.
Right, uses an action on a future turn to choose the target of that.
Okay.
effect.
And these don't stack, right? You can't store up a bunch of different tails, I
Right.
assume. Okay.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So you'll be able to give that to someone at a later point. Yeah, I really am a big fan of this. This, again, Chad, is the College of
Spirits.
the College of Spirits, which Toya has chosen for Nulls as their bard, which I think is really neat. And I've never played with the College of Spirits, so that's very cool. Okay. Sounds good. That's good stuff. As far as movement is concerned, Nulls, you're a little bit away from the action at the moment. Do you want to move closer, farther away? Where do you want to move?
Oh, okay. So who am I closest to?
You're basically, I would say, next to Dr. Jaraxxus. Fob is
Okay.
probably, like the three of you, Fob, Jaraxxus, and you, are all kind of in a line. Titus has got the one wolf right on top of him, and Elu, I would say about maybe 15 feet away from you, and Elu is fighting two of them at the moment, again, about 15 feet away from you. So you're
Okay.
right next to Jaraxxus and Fob.
I think I will stay put for
Okay.
the moment.
Okay, seems reasonable. In that case, that brings us on to Fob with Dr. Jaraxxus on deck. Okay, Fob, you see the situation. It's not super great right now. What would you like to do?
So my understanding is I haven't run a rogue before, but I can do a sneak attack if my target has another enemy within 5 feet, as I am reading it.
It should be one of, yeah, that's right. And actually, you
Yeah.
have allies and enemies within that distance. You'll have within itself. So yes, you can do that.
I
This-
would like to do a sneak attack, a ranged sneak attack on one of the wolves attacking Elihu.
All right. That seems like a good idea, and that will do a lot of damage if it hits.
Well, I rolled a natural 20.
Whoop.
Wow.
Wow. Okay. Maximum damage plus maximum sneak attack damage equals, oh god. All right, so what this means is that you are, let me see if you get an improvement on sneak attack for level 3. So, right, so as you're gaining, sneak attack column. Yeah, so this is 2d6 now. So
Yeah.
that means it's going to be whatever damage you would normally do maxed plus max 2d6, so 12. So 12 plus max damage, whatever you would have normally done.
12 plus 9. Let me actually. 12 plus 9.
Okay, so
21.
21. You were, I assume you would have aimed at the one that Elu damaged of
Oh,
the
sure.
two. Okay, 21. All right, so there's just this like, I love this idea of you sighting down and then just doing this thing, and so there's this. I should say, as it's hit, you almost hit it in the ear, and it goes sort of like rolling over and then back up growling, but you have heavily damaged it. And it looks at you and it says, and it growls to the others, and only Nulls would understand this. And it says, "The lizard is next."
I have a bonus action.
Oh, yes. And as your bonus action, you're going to do even more. Okay.
Guess what I'm doing? I'm hiding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell
rogue
me
it up.
basically, now I've shown you the terrain, kind of the Badlandsy terrain, just sort of flavor-wise, like, who do you hide? Like, where do you hide?
You see Fob kind of pause next to a big boulder, and then you see Fob's kind of skin gradually becoming kind of gray and wrinkly, and just sort of whoop into that looks suddenly just look like the boulder's a little bit bigger.
I love that. I imagine that happens right after the lizard is next. Not that you understood that, but you just
No, but I saw that look.
Yep, that's good stuff. Okay, the good stuff. That leads us to Dr. Daraxis. What would you like to do?
Oh boy, here we go. All right. Dr. Daraxis.
Got to set up your camera on a rock, right? Make sure you get a good angle.
Yeah. I was looking through. Dr. Daraxis has a lot of like charm / commandy spells, but they only target humanoids. So I think based on their demeanor and that Nalik has tried to calm them down or speak to them, and their response is more aggression. I'm just gonna do a good old Sprite Beam, Eldritch Blast.
Okay,
Essentially.
at which one?
We'll say the one that's the most damage thus far.
Okay.
Okay. All right, here we go. That's a 22 to hit.
Wow, y'all came to play today. All right, that's a hit.
Mm-hmm. And I'll just double check it. I don't have multiple beams yet, I don't think, but make a ranged spell attack. On a hit, the target takes 1d10. All right, here we go. I have a feeling. Wow, look at that. A 10.
Good lord.
I said I was going to get the opposite of that, but hey.
Absolutely. And yeah, you actually just the Sprite Beam just pierces it in the side, and with a yelp, it like rolls over and lies still.
Awesome.
And so Elu sort of nods at you and says, "Well done, but keep it up." And that leads us. Now we have to decide where you're going to move, Daraxis. Where do you want to go?
Yeah, no, I will stand. I'll stand in such a way that I take cover behind the tree. I put the tree between me and the wolves.
Okay. You're kind of moving away from the tree, so you'd have to run back a little bit to get to the tree. You're not right
okay.
next to it.
Okay. I thought we were still in the scene where like I had just grabbed a berry. But...
Not just. You were walking away. You were a little bit of a distance
Right.
from the tree. Although it would be really
Okay.
funny if you just turned and then ran back to hide behind the tree. But
how close is the tree from where I am currently?
probably about 100 feet.
Oh God. Okay. Never mind. Yeah. No, I'm just gonna stay put and be ready.
Okay. That's going to bring us up to the top. Now we get the dire wolves. Now there are two. One of them, let's see. Now the one that had said the lizard is next has just gotten destroyed. So the other two, we've got one on Titus and one on... They're still within range of each other, but at least you don't have two on one of them. So they're still going to get advantage because they're within close proximity to each other. So one of them is going to attack Elu. A different one. The other one that had been attacking her. Second one is going to hit, sadly. Okay. All right, that is going to hit and is going to attempt to, again, overbear her or overwolf. But again, Elu's sort of like, oh, like, you notice that you've had a chance to see a little bit of Elu's fighting, although actually I guess Titus and Jaraxxus haven't. Elu as a fighter has this very sort of visceral style of fighting in that her moves have some grace to them, but what they really have is punch. I mean, like, her slashes, her thrusts, the kind of slamming the hilt into the side of the creature's face and all that. So she has surprising strength and is able to keep from being overborne by that creature. Titus, in the meantime, trying to decide if the one wolf is... I think the wolf is going to continue its focus on you, having hit you once before. So it is going to attempt to attack you. It will do so again at advantage because it's in proximity to its ally. And we're looking at a... I believe that's a 18 to hit.
Yeah.
Which I gather
Yeah.
is going to hit. Not a good roll for them, but 5 points of piercing damage, and I do need you to make that strength saving throw again, please, for me.
Boy, you really like to take them from me. So first off, I'm down to 8 points. Thank you very much. And let's see. Yeah, you know...
You are prone, Titus. You are knocked prone by this creature. So now you have this thing where it's leaning over you, and you hear it mutter. You hear it as... But what Nulls hears it as... It would be better if you did not move so your death can be quick. You don't hear that. You just hear... is what you hear, Titus.
Thank you for confirming that. I was going to ask that question if we actually heard that
you don't.
conversation.
No, you don't
yeah,
hear
okay.
it. You just hear
All
rah,
right.
rah, rah. But I'm letting Nulls know what it is that Nulls is hearing. Okay, those are the wolf's turn. Elu's turn. Elu, with a cry, swings her sword, misses the first time, but hits the second time, which is what happened last time. And is going to, again, a very solid blow to this creature. Opens up a slash in its side, and it yelps in pain and then growls at her with its red-eyed stare. Okay, Titus, that leads us to you. You are prone as we speak with a mechanical armored wolf above you. Well, it's not mechanical. It just has armor on it. Seems to be tilting its head like what part of your throat to grab for.
So, Titus, wolf,
Yep.
like this, right?
Yep. Head,
Exposed
huge
underbelly
head. Right.
and like jowls and like head and neck and all that stuff. Sort
Yes,
of like,
I'd say neck and head more than because the stomach's farther down. But yes.
well, okay, all right, but like, what else am I seeing right there?
Meaning, what do you mean? Oh, like in terms of what do you see underneath it?
Yeah.
The underneath of it, it's armored. So it's basically armored and top into the sides. It is not armored underneath or at like the joints of its legs. You still do hear this weird servo thing going on though, even though at the moment it's just standing above you. But you still hear the mechanical sound coming from somewhere around or near or within this beast. But as far as what you see, it looks like furry body, furry neck, etc. underneath. Pet the exposed underbelly. Can I pet the dangerous mechanical wolf?
Is this one of those situations where petting the dog is allowed?
I mean, I want to point out that in this game, because all games must do this, you are allowed to pet it. What it will do afterwards is another question, but...
Fine. Okay. So I feel like this is going to go badly, but Titus is going to reach up and grab for the wires coming out of the ears and pull.
Okay. All right. Let me... how do I do this?
It was either that or use laser blast at it, and I'm afraid of the damage. that's going to happen to me.
Yeah, I don't
So-
blame you. You'd be cooked underneath this, Okay, if you're going to pull up to the wires and pull down, I'm going to ask you to make for me... We're going to basically call this like an unarmed strike or the equivalent. So I would like you to make for me, please, an attack. Let's just use your strength bonus. I'll let you add your proficiency to it because you actually mechanically sensed what these things were when you saw them, or at least saw them there. So basically, D20, any strength bonus you may have, you can add your proficiency bonus to this, and we'll see whether you can grab those wires or not. First, you got to grab them, then we'll talk about what you do with them.
Okay. +1, +2. Good roll. Yeah, I'll take a 17.
Yes,
Mhm.
you do grab them. So now you're going to pull, you said. So I need a strength check from you. We're going to see how much you pull.
Same deal. Same bonuses.
No, because this is not proficiency or anything else. This is just a strength check. Now that you have the, you have the wires in your hand. So you have struck and you have hit, but now you are going to pull. I can't. Why won't this? So, and the creature kind of is like, and like starts shaking its head. So you all have this moment where you see Titus, like Titus is being like knocked back and forth. And you have Prince Justin's like, harder, not hard enough. So now I have a question for you. Do you want to try to hold on to the wires? You may take a little damage, but it will allow you to hold on to them. Or do
It's
you
your
want to
mount.
let go?
It's your mount.
I'm working on it. Yes, I'm gonna hold on because I think that we're doing this. We're going all in, or Titus might,
Okay.
exit the situation.
You are going to let me have you make. No, actually, I think you're going to be able to stay on based on the position of where everyone is. But you are going to take a point of damage as you are literally dragged along the ground multiple times by this thing. As it's like, and you're like, oh, 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 as it's like pulling you back and forth along the ground.
Okay, I will note that as we close this off, I'm at 7 hit points.
Yes,
Okay.
they certainly have noted that. Okay. All right. So, but Titus is holding on to this thing, and we're going to talk about now. Obviously, because you're holding on, there's no movement involved. So, because you're hanging on to it, we'll talk about what happens next turn. The good news is you don't have to grab it again, so that's good. Okay, Nulls, you are up next. You now see these two wolves, and you see Titus holding on to the wires from one of them as it like tries to shake Titus off.
Okay, so I've got a couple of options here.
Okay.
Titus is at 7 health. What is Elu's health down to?
Well, you don't know. You don't get her exact health. She
Okay.
looks like she's been hurt, but she's not like at death's door. Seems like she's holding her own. Okay.
Okay. Am I close enough to heal Titus?
Yeah, I would say so. You're within, I guess, 15, 20 feet. You could step
Okay.
forward maybe 5 feet, but I think most of the heals would be within that range. Yes.
Yeah, well, because I have healing word, and that's within a range of 60 feet.
Oh yeah, you got that easily. Yep.
Okay, so Nulls is going to heal Titus.
Okay. That seems like I'm sure Titus will be pleased to hear it. Okay, so you were going to do the power of healing. So 7 points. All right. Titus, you feel considerably better than you did. All right. Good stuff.
Thank you.
Okay. I should have asked you, just be aware, Toya, that you can... yeah, because you wouldn't have the second level spell slot. Never mind. Forget what I was going to tell you.
Okay.
Forget it. Okay, good stuff. That was good work. Where do you want to... You moved like 5 feet. Actually, you could just stay where you are and do that. So do you want to move forward or farther away or stay where you are, Nels?
I am going to move farther away. What's my landscape look like?
You are in the midst of this rocky, fairly barren landscape. There is the tree, the rotting tree that was behind you about 100 feet. There are some boulders around. You don't see Fob, although you see a suspiciously brown, bumpy boulder not that far away. But otherwise, it's a fairly barren, but there are several boulders you could try to get behind, theoretically.
I'm
if you
going
wanted
to hot-foot it on over to a boulder is what I'm going to do.
Okay. All right, you do that. And as you come next to the boulder, I think it would be really fun if it turns out that Fob, you're like suddenly aware that Nulls is next to you as we're here. What would Fob like to do?
Well,
hold on,
Fob sort of
before
uncurls
Fob,
from the.
Wait, what's up?
Healing Word's a bonus action. So Nalik, did you have no action you wanted to do?
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
that's right. Healing Word is a bonus action. Quite right.
What
fault.
else can I do?
Good job, Zach.
Yeah, good call. That's right.
So these wires are attached to their ears, correct?
Yep. Yes, that's correct. Runs into
So-
your ears somehow.
So, technically, because Nulls does play instruments, and she just picked up that instrument from the guy who's like, hey, these might be able to actually blast rock and crystal and stuff. So she doesn't want to play it with that much force, but she does want to play it with enough force to really disorient the wolves.
Okay. So, good news and bad news. Good
Okay.
news, you might be able to do that. Bad news, your disorientation may also affect your other party members who also use ears. So it's possible
I can't target the sound waves
with
in the
bagpipes?
direction.
No.
All right, well, can I do it with any other instrument? Because I have 3 others.
That's fair enough.
Nulls is talented.
That's true. I don't know that you can really target it as such unless there is a spell that uses this as a component.
Yeah, or
But
like
just
a specific ability.
Exactly. Otherwise, just play. I think what you're saying is a good idea. It's just that it will probably have a similar disruptive effect to your companions. Although I would point out to you later on, there may be a theory where you could be like, okay, everybody block your ears using
That's
some
what I was about to
previously
say.
decided. But you can't yell that out. I mean, this is all happening, remember, within a few seconds. You can't yell that out where anyone would be able to react to it. And certainly Titus can't do it because Titus at the moment is holding on for dear life onto some wires himself. So he is not capable of blocking his ears unless there's an anatomy of the Zek that I don't know about.
May I ask my party if they want me to do that? Because I might knock them out.
I mean, hey,
Go for it.
cat's face.
So I mean,
I mean-
Jaraxxus is behind a tree.
No,
Bob
no,
is
no.
behind
We
the
are
rock.
far from the tree. I wanted to go behind the tree, but we're
Okay.
100 feet away. So
Okay, no.
your tail that you rolled earlier, you could use that as an action. You could bestow
Yeah,
that.
I was thinking about that too.
Or that's probably pretty much it.
I'm thinking of another way that I could possibly damage their ears without
Yeah.
hurting everybody else.
I mean, you have
Um,
Thunderclap as a cantrip, but that also is it has to be within 5 feet of you. So I don't know if there's a wolf that you want to get right up next to that also our Zek friend is not under. I think that's the only other damaging
There is
thing I
one,
have.
right?
Well, also have Blade Ward.
I think that protects you,
Okay.
which is good, but
And Guidance.
That'll
Yeah.
help
You have-
that certainly could help. Someone else could help Fob.
yeah.
Although, is guidance... wait a second.
It's ability
If
checks.
you have a ranged weapon, you can shoot it.
And it is an action, so... Yeah.
Do I have a ranged weapon? Hold on.
Yeah, so ranged weapon, shoot, guidance is an action that would work. Also,
Nope.
you could... or you could just bestow your tails that you got stored on someone, too.
Yeah. You could. Your
Well,
daggers technically.
I have
only-
daggers. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do have
Shoot
daggers.
it.
Could chuck a dagger. if you
Yeah,
want.
let me aim a dagger at
Nice.
let's see, who am I going to target? So I healed Titus. So Titus is in a better position right now, but Titus is still being controlled.
Sort of. I mean, Titus is kind of occupied, definitely, with the wolf. Elu still has more health, even having taken damage, than the other one. Also, Elu is not currently underneath the body of a wolf holding onto wires. So
Right. I think I'm going to. Nulls is going to aim for the wire of the wolf that is attacking Titus.
okay,
And she's going to. No, never mind. I was going to say something to the wolf. I'm not going to antagonize it. So how do I use this?
so you're going to be doing, and it should list there, but it would be essentially D20 plus your dexterity plus your proficiency would be added together. Now, you're also going to be doing this, though, at a -2, because you're basically doing this as a called shot. You're trying to
Okay.
hit a wire and also not hit your friend's hand. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So I'm doing hit /DC. That's where I'm rolling.
Yes.
All
Yep.
right.
And then whatever this result is,
we go.
we subtract 2 from it.
Exactly on
Alright.
this. Hey, wolf, nice fur.
Uh-huh.
No one compliments my fur.
Well, I'll give you some belly scritches afterwards.
How dare you threaten me with belly scratches?
Wow.
Whoa!
So,
Yeah, that's a
Dang.
19 on the die.
Yep.
Wow.
That, well,
you
that'll
may
hit.
you may want my belly scritches after all when this is done.
Damn it. I've been outscritched. All right. So let's see what the damage is like then. A dagger should be 1d4
Yep.
plus your dex.
It's just to the right of the hit DC, Toya.
So damage.
hmm
Wow. You're using all these good rolls up right now, everybody is doing.
Okay.
Well, I've had some pretty awful ones, so
Yeah.
let me use them.
No, for sure. So two things happen. Number one, you hit it and damage it. This is the one that had not been hit yet because it was Titus's one. The second thing is that your dagger literally, thank you, Author Little Badger, for the 100 bits. That will go directly
Wow,
to
thank
the
you.
players. Thank you, thank you. And that is going to literally sever the wire. And there is this moment where the two things happen when that happens. One, you sever the wire. Two, Titus is like, because Titus is now holding on with one hand to the one remaining wire. But as this happens, the right eye of which is the same ear that you hit, the same side, the right red eye goes dark. And the wolf howls, and there is this keening mechanical sound from somewhere inside the armor. You can almost feel it vibrating, Titus, as you hold on to the wire. And there's this like that through it. And you see the thing sort of kind of shaking its head. And it kind of sort of just stops. It's like, and it's like shaking its head around as if trying to get its bearings. The mechanical effect of this is that currently the creature is stunned. And so what that means is in 5e, when a creature is stunned, it means that you are, to quote directly, they are incapacitated, which means that they can't move. It means that they can't take actions or reactions, and that they automatically fail strength and dexterity saving throws. Attack rolls against them have advantage. You don't know how long this stun is going to last. You haven't killed it, obviously, but you've definitely at least stunned it for the moment. So that was quite a throw. Good stuff, Nulls. Now we can move on. It's a good thing that Zach remembered that was a bonus action. Good job. So moving on to Fob. You were up next. You saw all that happen.
So, Titus, you don't want that wolf saved so you can ride it around, correct? We can just kill it.
I mean, it's halfway free, but you're welcome to do whatever you like.
Yeah, it's just one wire away from being a mount, guys.
I have this.
It's
I have this
Correct.
image. I have this image of Titus being like, "Well, it's up to you."
Also,
Thrown
now
back
keep
and
in
forth.
mind, it will have been freed from whatever it's following.
Exactly.
So we can
Well,
get
then I'm
a
I'm
lot
gonna-
of info and intel off of it if it's
Exactly.
alive.
then I will shoot the other one.
Okay.
Is what I will do.
Don't be mean to puppers.
I do want to warn the party that this may not have been a gentle, caring, pet me on the belly creature before whatever happened to it. I'm just letting you know.
We'll make it one.
Good God, what are these
23.
rolls? Yes, that
Yeah.
will hit.
Nice, Bob.
Absolutely. Okay, and this was the other one you said, right? The one that was attacking.
For 9
Elu?
points of damage.
Okay. And does that count? Let me see. Still should have had sneak attack damage, right?
It's still got sneak attack. I'm going to add another 2 dice.
Yeah, I would say.
Or wait, isn't the sneak attack right?
Well, it's got
It's
another.
calculated in.
Is it? Is that
No.
because what I see there is
Because
15 according to this?
Well,
not-
yeah.
Yeah,
And then
15.
there's a thing right above it that says sneak attack damage, piercing damage. You guys see that?
Yep, that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
the total damage I see is 15.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's right.
Okay, then
Cap.
yes.
Okay.
Then leave it. Yeah,
Okay.
I think you're right.
All right, and again, that was on the one that was fighting Elu, not the one that's on Titus, right? Okay, so that one definitely looks hurt. Not dead yet, but you've done some serious damage to it. Okay, so good
Then I
stuff
fight
there.
it again.
Are you returning to the boulder
Yes.
at that point? Okay. All right, that is going to lead us to Dr. Jaraxxus is up next. So you have one pretty badly hurt, not dead, but badly hurt one that Fob just hit. And then
Mhm.
you've got the one that's still sort of staggering or just sort of like barely moving that's over Titus.
Hmm. Okay, I think I'm, don't mess with the system. I'm just gonna sprite beam the one that Titus is not trying to make into a mount.
Okay. Okay. I like how this whole thing is hashtag Titus Mount 2023.
Yes. Yep.
Never forget. Okay.
Never forget. That is a 12.
I think a 12 is not going to hit. Yeah, 12 is going to miss, I'm afraid.
Okay.
Shoots over its back. Do you want to move anywhere, Jaraxxus?
Just so that I'm within 30 feet of all my friends,
That,
if I'm not already.
yes, that you can do. I think you're pretty close anyway, but
Cool.
yes. Okay, top of the round. There are two things, since you were avoiding that one. Okay, first of all, we're going to see if the stunned one recovers from its stun. Yeah, so it does. The one that starts kind of like shifting its head and then kind of looks down at you and says, growls to you. Again, Titus, you hear, but what Nulls hears is, "You will not make me weaker." And its right eye is still out, or it's not glowing anyway, but its left eye is like intensely red. It is clearly not stunned anymore, but it can't do anything else other than just that was it at the end of its turn. The other one that was attacking Elu that has been hit badly is going to continue to attempt to attack Elu. And this one I'm going to rule is not going to get pack tactics on this one because it was stunned, so it can't use any of that. And so it misses wildly on its bite over Elu as she kind of like blocks, which gives Elu a chance to try to fight back with her 2 attacks. And not a good round for her. She actually misses with both of her attacks, which is not great. Okay, that leads us to Titus. All right, Titus, you are holding on still to the one wire behind this creature, or underneath this creature. What would you like to do?
I don't have any time. Well, how thick is this wire?
It's not actually very thick. It's surprisingly strong. Strong tensile strength, I believe they would call it, but it's fairly thin, actually.
Is it the kind of okay? So I'm assuming that it's the kind of thing that seems like, please correct me if I'm wrong about this, but it's the same type of technology that Titus and Dr. Jaraxxus would be like really familiar with as a part of, sort of coming from their sort of.
I would say
worlds.
actually not, Titus, because you have not. I mean, well. Okay. In general, yes, you are familiar with some technology, which is why you got advantage to understand some of these things before, or benefits, I should say, to understand them before. But this technology, Magitech technology, is still quite new to you. You don't entirely know how they've been able to fuse this energy into these organic creatures. You didn't fully get it even with the creatures, the humans that had the powered battle armor, because it wasn't just they were wearing suits. They were kind of grafted into the suits a little bit. So you don't fully know, I would say, but you do know, you saw what happened for yourself, that literally there is some impact that severing this thing had on it.
Right. So, right. So what I'm saying is that the physical elements of this, I understand that this is a wire.
Yes.
And
Oh, yeah.
If I, I'm able to cut it in some way. So Titus is going to pull out is going to reach into his belt or whatever, and he's going to grab a pair of wire cutters.
Okay. So you're doing this with your free hand then.
I'm going to do this with a free hand, and Titus is just going to try to snip that wire.
Okay.
Not even going to try to pull at this point.
Let me have you make a dexterity check to do this.
Yes, I would like that.
I'm sure you would. But it's got to be dexterity. I can't do it. Oh, jeez. Never mind. I don't even need to just roll.
I'm sorry. What did you? I'm sorry. Did you say something?
Did you say something? Okay. So you snap the wire, and again there is this kind of keening, and the wolf puts back its head, and the light fades, and it howls, and you hear, "Oh!" And there's like this sort of weird glitchiness to the mechanical sound of the howl until the mechanical sound sort of fades completely. Now both of them are out, and it again sort of just has its head down as if it is again stunned. It also seems to have been, pretty hurt by all of this, but it's not moving or doing anything. It's just sort of breathing as it stands above you at the moment. And obviously you were now literally released from it because the wire snipped, so you're just lying on the ground underneath it. So you could take this moment to roll away and stand up. It's not going to attack you because it's currently stunned again.
I'm gonna ask the question. We're calling that an action, with me snipping the wire?
Yeah. That was an action.
Okay, just make it sure.
For sure.
All right. Titus is going to roll out from under, disengage.
Okay.
And pull my light pistol, my light blaster, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
And just not shoot, just aim it.
Oh, I love that visual. Okay, great. All right. That's going to bring us to Nulls. And by the way, Nulls, that sound was not understandable. It was just a howl of pain and something. But Nulls, you see the one creature sort of just standing there. Both red eyes are now out. Just sort of standing stunned, and then the other creature that's still fighting Elu.
If I talk to the one that's been stunned, is that an action?
If you talk to the one that's stunned?
Yeah.
No, I would say that you could use that. Let's call that a bonus action. I won't give you 2 bonus actions though, but I'll let you use that as a bonus action for this one.
Okay, so Nulls talks to the stunned wolf.
Okay.
And says, "Power that's been given to you is false power, and that is a weakness. You can join us and gain that strength on your own. Help us against your buddy here."
And there's this sort of, so it kind of is, now, interestingly, when stunned, a creature can speak, but only falteringly. So the creature sort of says, "I can't trust the creature. Trust you. Trust only self." You notice the mechanical tinge to its voice is gone at the moment.
"Well, if you couldn't trust us, you'd be dead right now."
Dead anyway.
"Oh, there's still hope for you."
Okay, that's as much of a convo as I'm going to allow during that during that one action. That's all taking place in about 5 seconds. Okay, so you could still have an action left.
All right. How is Elu doing against this other wolf over here?
I mean, she's doing some damage to it, but she's been hit by 2.
So I have that stored tell of the traveler. If I bestow that to her, will it make her fighting faster? or just her ability to flee?
No, but it will improve her AC. Her armor class will be improved, which would make it less
Okay.
likely she get hit, which would be nice.
All right, well, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bestow that to
Okay.
her.
Sounds good. I wonder, by the way, flavor-wise, how do you think that looks when you, like, what's the tail? You don't have to tell them the whole thing, but I'm like,
Blah, blah, blah. Let me think about that for a
okay,
second.
that's fine. I was just curious. You don't have to come up with some big elaborate thing. I didn't want to put you on the spot, but I thought it'd be cool. So when you think of it, you can tell me. In the meantime, you're not moving anywhere, right? You're staying more or less where you are. Or
I
are
mean,
you?
I'm far away from the action, but I'm still close enough, correct?
Yes.
I'm
where
not
you
in
are.
I'm not in striking distance.
No, not at the moment.
Okay, I'll stay where I am.
Okay. That leads us to Fob. What would you like to do? You see the one that's just standing there, and then the one that Nals is talking to is the same one, and then the other one fighting Elu.
I'm going to hit the one that Elihu is fighting.
Okay. And again, we have a little sneak attack action going on here.
Oh Jesus! I fumble.
Wow.
I roll a 6.
For a change, something actually doesn't work. Maybe you're too busy sort of being like, this is going well. Whoops! It's like fire out.
Oh, yes, that's exactly what happens. Like Fob adds a little flourish. You can tell Fob's like, I'm doing really well, and it just the equivalent of stepping on a rake.
But then imagine just like that was a boulder that did that, like Like,
well, and then the bonus action will be to hide again. So yes.
To return to the boulder. Okay, that seems reasonable. You've done a lot of damage as it is, Fob. Jaraxxus is up. Jaraxxus, what would you like to do?
I'm going to continue to attack the wolf that is attacking Elu.
Okay.
And I get a 22.
That will definitely hit. I'm glad to see the
And
party's
I-
back to its norm.
Deal 4 points of force damage.
Okay, that one is starting to look pretty beat up. It is not dead, but it is starting to look pretty beat up. Are you moving anywhere, Jaraxxus?
Nope, sticking right by everyone, and I kind of glance at the recording unit that I have on my shoulder. That's my GoPro. That's getting everything. And
Yeah.
I just sort of smile and think to myself, "This is going to be so good later. This is going to be so good."
You notice the recording light isn't blinking. Damn it! No, I'm just kidding.
Oh shoot!
No,
I
I'm just
start to
joking.
fiddle with it.
I'm
Yeah,
joking. Okay, sounds like a plan. As we go up to the top, we'll find out whether the stunned wolf gets out of their stun in a minute. First, the one that attacks Elu is going to do so again without pack tactics advantage because of this situation, and that means it is going to. Is that going to hit? It's going to be close. Yeah, that is going to hit. Okay, so let's see what damage it does. But this time, oh, wait a minute. No, it doesn't, because there is +1 AC that was given by the College of Tails. It does not hit. So thanks to Nal's tail, Elu is able to avoid being hit by it in a very clutch use of College of Tails. Okay, we're going to see if the other one recovers from its stun. It does not, actually. So it this time still is kind of like swaying back and forth slowly, which means Elu is going to get a chance to attack on this creature and is going to hit a lot. Is going to hit once and then critically hit the second time. Good gravy. I guess Elu really took those tails to task. Wow. So Elu basically home run swings this thing with those attacks. Swipes across one. Those of you who've been watching my Jedi Survivor playthrough will know what I mean. Like slash underneath with the saber, come up, and then literally comes around as the creature is snapping above and just... And head of the wolf just goes and lands on the ground. And the wolf's body falls over. And Elu has this moment where she's just paused, silhouetted against the light of the Badlands. And then sort of slowly lowers her sword. Okay, so she then turns and she says to you, Titus, "Well, what are you doing? Get rid of it now while you have the chance." And Titus, it's your turn.
We can't hear you, Johnny.
Sorry.
Now we can. That was weird.
Yeah, exactly. This creature's under somebody else's control or something. We at least need to free it, if not study it.
And
This isn't the first time we've seen this technology.
she says, it's a dire wolf, even if it's not being controlled anymore by these things. It's not tame. It's not a pet.
No, it's not. But it is to our advantage to understand what's going on here.
And she kind of stares at you. So your call, Titus, as to what you want to do. You've got the gun at it.
Titus is Titus is going to speak to the rest of the party and hold his action otherwise
Okay.
to attack this thing if it shows any threat to anybody else. So it's not just like it's growling at somebody. If it moves to attack, then Titus is going to draw, not use the pistol. He's actually going to use laser blast, the Esper power. But he's just basically being prepared with the pistol. But he's going to speak to the rest of the group and hold his action otherwise and say, all right, I don't there's nothing I can do here to subdue or capture this thing. Also, I'm tiny and there's no way I'm going to take it. Anybody have any ideas?
Okay. Nulls, you're up next, actually, because that was, as you said, Titus is holding his action.
Yeah, I'm going to say something else to it.
Okay.
Because it has to know the situation it's in right now. And if you were pursuing power, I don't think you want to die. Your tale hasn't been finished yet. And you see the situation you're in. You either join us, or you lose your head like your friend over there. I hope you join us.
I would like you to make a persuasion check for me, please, Nulls. I'm going to ask you to do this. I'm like multiple calculating in my head, multiple factors. Well, I will say that I will give this to you at -2. Now, interestingly enough, we had this discussion about inspirations.
I was just thinking that.
And you do have one, so...
Why is it at -2?
It's at -2 because you have just killed its comrades and because it is still a creature that is not trusting of you.
Also, you really want me to get rid of this inspiration.
That's not why. I honestly, I would have asked Chad. I would have been like, hey, Chad can, but you've already got one. So that's why I'm saying you can't have multiples. That's why.
I'm also very concerned that if I use it here, there's going to be a time in the future where somebody's going to be near death.
But remember, Chad has inspirations they can give you too, and you have other people there. I'm not encouraging you to do it, Toya, because jokes aside, it's yours to do with as you wish. But they are very important. But they also, that's why I have this system in place, because Chad can be appealed to, and others in the party. So just so you know, you don't want to hold. Jokes aside, it's not like holding onto a Phoenix down for fighting Final Fantasy until the last boss,
I have my own way of the warrior, however, that I follow.
That's fine. That's right.
We've also run into situations where people didn't have inspirations to give.
Yeah,
well.
Yes, but I just mean, inspirations are designed to help in situations where you need them. This might be such a situation, but it's totally up to you.
Oh. You said I can roll with persuasion?
Persuasion at -2, but if you do the inspiration for advantage, you would do that at advantage. So it'd be -2 twice, but you're rolling twice to persuade it.
Okay, and I haven't taken an action yet, and I have an action and a bonus action.
Right. You did just talk to it, which I think really is the bonus action, because you were kind of communicating with it.
So the action is the action is persuading it by talking to it,
Yes.
correct? And
Yes.
so then I would have another action on top of that.
Well, yeah, basically what I do is I would convert it into a full action is what I would do. So instead of a bonus action, I would say that your conversation with it and your persuasion of it was a full action, and you would have a bonus action left over. If you stop doing
Okay.
all of this right now, then you've just used a bonus action, but otherwise this is an action. And it's obviously, this is what you use an action for. I mean, is to do something like this. It would obviously be very helpful.
Yeah, because I have a backup plan too, because
Okay.
you know. I'm Yeah, I just have this sinking feeling that I'm gonna need that inspiration at some point. Okay.
It just
Uh,
sits there, head swaying.
All right. I'm gonna try to persuade it.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Are you doing the advantage or not?
What do you mean the advantage?
Are you going to inspire yourself so that you can roll at advantage, or are you just doing this once?
No, I'm wait. So if I do it once, I still have an action on top of that. Is that correct?
No. Either way, you're still got if you stop and you don't try to persuade it at all, then I'll just say it's a bonus action and you'll have an action left over. If you try to persuade it, win or lose, then it is going to count as an action because you are trying to mechanically bring it to your side.
Yeah, I'll just try to persuade it.
Okay.
All right.
So this is, and you should have a persuasion. Yeah. Okay. 17 minus 215. So the creature kind of like sways kind of a little bit, and then it looks up at all of you. And as it looks at you, you can see its eyes are dark. And it's clearly not, looking directly at you, just sort of in that direction. And it says, I do not seek power. And then you see the mechanical tinge is faded completely, and it says, I seek a pack. You have killed mine. I will not fight without my pack. And it lies down. So, we're out of combat. So, and it doesn't do anything. It just
Wow.
literally lies down.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo.
Nicely done.
So, yeah, it didn't say it was joining your pack, to be clear. Yet.
Fair,
It did
yeah.
say
That's fine.
it just said it wasn't going to fight without its pack.
You should give it some food. Fob will not, because Fob does not approve of any of this. But as a player, I think giving it some food would.
I can't do that. I've taken my full action.
No,
but
you're
we're
out
out
of
of
combat
combat.
now.
We're out of
Out of
combat.
combat.
You don't
Oh!
have to worry about actions now.
We
You're
can
out
just
of
do what we
Oh.
want. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well. Let me see.
And
I have.
as you're thinking, by the way, just quickly, Elu sheathes her sword and stands back and folds her arms, and she says, "It's not a pet dog that you can tame." And she turns away and just shakes her head.
And I called her, but he can be an ally.
And she says nothing, just stares off.
While the others tend to this wolf, seemingly Nalik and Titus, Dr. Draxus will kind of perk a brow at that and will start approaching Elu. But whichever group you want to do first.
I'm going to come back to you in a minute. I will go to the other three. Before I do that, just a quick programming note to the players. Since we got a little bit of a later start, and since I know Zach has to bail right at 10:30, unless the party objects, I can give you a 5-minute bio break, but also we could just run to 10:30 and end there if you want to. I'd be more inclined to do that, but I don't want to put anyone in a spot where they're uncomfortable physically. So you let me know how y'all doing, I guess, is my question.
We can keep going with me. I'm fine.
Are you okay? Okay, is everyone okay? So, and we'll
Good to go.
So, all right. So let me go to and also hi Drew. No music fact. Tonight was the first time you ever had Indian food. It was delicious. Indian food is among my favorite foods in the world. I love Indian food. Welcome to the club of people who love Indian food. Oh man, chicken shog. I can just so good. Anyway, so as you come over, you so Titus and Knowles and Fob, as you are over, I know Fob, you're over near the boulder. So I'll ask you what you're doing. Actually, I'll ask Fob first. Are you like walking slowly towards the others now, or are you staying by the boulder? What are you doing now that we're out of
I
cover?
am staying well away from the horrible, dangerous creature that these people have chosen to befriend.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go stand near the paladin because she looks like she could kick the butt of anything.
Sounds good. That'll be useful actually when Jaraxxus gets over to her. All right. Well, then I will ask Titus and I will ask Knowles. The wolf is there. Its red eyes are, have now, as I said, gone dark. And it's just lying with its, kind of head in its paws. And even from this distance, the great beast, Titus, you can hear. So what would Titus and Knowles like to do?
First
I don't
off,
think. Oh, sorry.
I'm just gonna ask a legitimate question, or just like a clarification question before anything else, or like who's damaged, and how far away is
You are and Elu is, although Elu's doing better since the College of Tales bonus, but still.
Well, that
right.
reminds me, I have Song of Rest as well.
But that will come into play if and when you decide to do a short rest. That will boost your
Okay.
short rest healing, but you're not in a state where you're doing that yet.
And Elu has walked just basically away from us, right?
Yeah, she's just like standing about 15, 20 feet away, facing away from you. Fob has gone next to her, and Jaraxxus is walking towards her.
Perfect. Okay. So yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to jump in. I needed
No, that's fine.
technical clarification.
That's all
I
good.
was just gonna say, I don't think Knowles has food on her. Otherwise,
Didn't you use some of it to try to convince the other little creatures? No, you would have.
no,
some other
that
food.
was Naomi.
That was Naomi
Winterfield.
Winterfield who did that. That's right. No, in any case, you do have rations. I mean, you have
Okay.
rations for the journey. Mm-hmm.
I don't know that a wolf would be interested in that. But I can try. So yes, Knowles is going to try to give this wolf food. And say, I'm sorry that we felled your last comrade. But you understand why we had to defend ourselves. Here, have some of this. Get your strength back.
And it kind of, and you notice that but it's definitely not looking at it. You're not sure that it can see, Knowles. It is right now just sniffing at the food, and then it says, "We would have feasted on your bodies. This is a poor second choice."
Oh, I understand. But you can eat or starve. Can you see this?
Why?
Well, so you can eat it.
I do not need my eyes to feed.
Then have a bite of it. It ain't the best, but it ain't the worst either.
And it kind of like takes a tentative. It stinks of two-leg food.
Yeah, that's right. I got 2 legs. They get me around pretty good.
Why are you sparing me?
Because you've been wronged as we have. And we can work together to figure out who it is and get back at them. Sounds like a good plan, doesn't it?
You do not know what pursues you. You do not know what finds you in the darkness. None will stand against it in the end. Not even you. And
Oh,
your
baby.
food.
Oh, baby, you think I'm afraid of the dark? The darkness is where I live. My name is Nals Darkly.
It is a good name for prey.
Well, why don't you join us and see if you can catch me?
And it kind of like sort of slowly stands, not in a threatening way, but and as it stands, you were again like, first of all, it's pretty hurt, I should say, but as it stands, you can see sort of the you can see the kind of rippling muscles along its chest that isn't quite as armored. You know, its side obviously is heavily armored, and you can see the sort of size of its head. There are several cuts and scars that are older than the fight you just had. This thing has obviously been through a scrape. And it says, I have failed my pack. I would have led them to your destruction. Instead, I am here blinded and defeated like a cub. It would be more of a mercy to kill me where I stand than feed me like a dog.
Well, I guess you're out of luck then, because I have no interest in killing you. So you can lie here defeated, or you can decide to regain your honor. I guess those are your options.
We will see what you require of me. I will decide my own honor.
And that's the best path to walk.
And it says nothing. Titus, as you're standing next to this thing, sort of looking up at its back, kind of. What are you doing, Titus, as this is happening?
So I have a question for Toya. Is that conversation happening in a way that I would be able to hear, that Titus would be able to hear it? Is it? Are you speaking, or is there some? I mean, like, or am I hearing a conversation happen? Except that I'm hearing growls from the.
That's
the
what you're hearing.
direwolf?
You're hearing them from but
Okay.
you're hearing that from Nulls too. Nulls would be growling in the same way, and it's sort of obviously in Null's voice. Like I was trying to think of the oh baby, do you think like I don't know how the growling would work, but it's that sort of thing. Yeah. There you go, exactly. So you hear it that way.
Okay.
Also, I need to check and see how long Speak with Animals lasts, by the way, because I don't recall off the top of my head. Speak with Animals.
Well, so Titus is going to turn to Knowles, and watching this exchange back and forth with cautious interest.
For 10 minutes. So you have another few minutes with this.
With the conversation sort of like pausing, or there seeming like an obvious break, Titus is going to turn to Knowles and say, "So, can you actually speak to this creature?"
I can, and I can give you a summary. So Knowles basically summarizes everything the wolf has said.
Okay.
And the fact that it feels like it has betrayed its pack in losing to, calling me a human, but basically to us, because it sees us as inferior creatures. But that I am trying to persuade it to help us take down whoever led to its pack's demise, and that's the same foe that we have. And also I note that we still do not know the wolf's name, and I think that would go a long way in having it ally with us.
Okay. Titus is going to take all that in, and you're going to see him sort of grind his teeth a little bit. And like as he's kind of like almost like chewing the cud just for a second, just kind of like thinking about the situation, and then he's gonna look back, sort of directly at you. Ask it if it'll accept kindness. I might be able to help it regain its sight, but for now, I can mend its wounds. I can make it feel stronger.
I wouldn't exactly propose kindness to it, but I can suggest something else.
And that is?
Well, if it wants to get back at this foe, it's going to need to be able to hunt, and its sight will be very important in that regard.
One step at a time. One step at a time. I don't even understand what was going on with its sight and why it no longer sees, other than and Titus points at the wire and just one let me make sure that it's not going to die on us, and then we can try to solve that problem next.
Now, okay, Nalz is directing back to the wolf. Now, as a warrior, I told you my name. It's time for you to tell me yours. And also, if you really want to hunt again, you're going to want your sight, your natural sight, not whatever abomination was done to you.
My sight was taken from me when this was given. It was a trade. My sight for the enhanced sight of this thing. You have blinded me by removing it. A gentle courtesy for you who lives in the dark.
And you can have your sight back, is what I'm telling you. But I'm going to need your name.
And it looks up at you, and for all the world, like its eyes are dark. My name is Gmark, and I am the alpha of my pack. I have consumed the moon, and it follows me where I will.
Well, Mork, consumer of the moon, this is Titus, and Titus is going to help you see that beautiful glow again. That glow in the night that calls to you, that directs your path.
Oh, do you not know that if you could somehow restore my sight, I would not use it to tear out your throat, one who lives in the dark?
Well, those of us who live in the dark could have torn out your throat already. But here you are.
I do not know whether to trust you, whether you would use me as a beast of burden. You may be saving me to use me. I must see whether your actions meet your words. Until then, one from the dark, keep your sight.
And Nulls tells Titus very quickly that Mork does not trust us and is basically fearful that we're going to use him as a beast of burden. And Null says, well, I guess for now, you'll just have to wait and see if you can trust us or not, as we will have to do with you.
Until then, I will accompany you. I do not promise to fight for you. I do not promise to lay my life down. But I will give you my presence. And even though I cannot see, I will watch Nulls darkly in the darkness.
That
Okay.
sounds like a promise, Mork, consumer of the moon.
I want
So-
to jump. So, and I want to jump to. It's nice stuff. I want to jump to. I want to jump to Fob, and especially I want to jump to Draxus. Draxus, you are walking up to Elu, who's been, and this is all happening simultaneously in a way. But at the moment, like Elu is just kind of facing away, and is just, kind of arms folded, not saying anything. Go ahead, Draxus.
Jiraxis,
And I'm sorry to interrupt, Fob. You'll show up like literally like 15 seconds after this starts, just so you know.
Yeah.
Because Drax gets it first.
one might think that the Jiraxis' approach to Elu is one out of like empathy or sympathy, given how she seems a bit, at odds with the party in this situation and trying to keep her aligned with everyone. But what we instead see is that as he approaches, he kind of looks to his right where his little recording unit is. He makes sure it's recording, and he sort of whispers to himself into the camera so that only the future editor of this footage will hear, and says, "This should be good." And we'll walk over to Elu and say, "So, Elu, hey, good fighting back there."
It was a good fight until we decided to turn it into a adoption event.
What's so wrong with that?
And she looks at you and she says, "We have not known each other long, Dr. Jiraxis. But that is a dire wolf. Worse, it is a dire wolf that has been transformed somehow by the same creatures that track down my friend, and the same ones that pursue us from Camria. If you think that creature is going to become loyal to us, befriend us, then I must say, you may be more of a fool than you seem. You do not make friends with creatures in the Badlands."
You sound as if you're speaking from experience.
I am. I have seen it happen. I have seen soldiers, their throats ripped out by creatures like these. These things are meant to be put down, not to be led home on a leash.
Jiraxis sort of, keeps a smile from brimming as he cinematically pans away from Elu to get to look back at the creature. And did I hear that Fob is approaching?
Now Fob would have shown up, like,
So, yeah,
literally at this moment.
Now, expecting to just see the creature and Nalik.
Do you see
and
Fob
Titus
instead
dealing
in
with it. I
frame?
see Fob is right in front of the camera, and I'm like, "Oh, hello, Fob. What was it? Hi." I back up.
Bob nods, and Bob is gonna step next to the paladin and is just mimicking her posture exactly.
Oh,
You can't really tell whether it's deliberate or not.
are you?
She's
We were just talking about how Elu was saying that we really shouldn't be trying to deal with this sort of thing. Do you? I see you agree with that.
That wolf will wake up in the middle of the night and rip out somebody's throat and then just go trotting off through the woods. But, maybe you all people have some interesting way of controlling wolves. Is that how you do things? You run around meeting people and controlling them?
Jirax just
Elu, by
just
the
sort
way,
of
is
pauses,
nodding like repeatedly to all of what Fob just
and
said.
he says, "It's quite the accusation. No, I simply am a passive observer and recorder of history. Well, admittedly, Titus, my friend, and I are not from here, so we are unfamiliar with these beasts. I mean, I've read a lot about dogs and wolves. I always thought they were very similar. Wolves were made into dogs, right? So
No.
Elu's like,
Hmm.
No, they're very different. They're
Well.
very different.
And dire wolves are more different still.
The warning is noted, and I just suppose we will have to see then. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. You may be surprised by our aptitude, and our friend Nalik over there seems to think otherwise.
And Elu sort of glances over her shoulder and then says, I have been impressed with what I've seen from Nalik so far, but I am not impressed with an attempt to bring some creature on board that cannot be brought on board. It is not tame, and it is not our friend. And when the moment arises, as Fob has said, we will not have a chance to react before we are dead, while it feasts on our corpses. That is
Fob
what a
will.
direwolf does.
Fob will have a chance because Fob watches the wolf. So
You have to sleep sometime, Fob.
does Fob? And then Fob just keeps silent.
Okay. There's a moment where... I'm going to come back to this conversation in just a second. I'm just quickly jumping for one quick moment. I would like Titus and Nulls to make perception checks for me, please. Just for a second. I'm not leaving this convo for long. Okay.
Titus ain't noticing a thing.
Okay. All right. So Nulls, did you? I need you to make a perception check too.
Oh, I did. It didn't show up.
Nope, I don't see it. I see
It's,
persuasion, but I don't see.
Oh, I thought I hit perception.
There it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's weird.
I'm going to. I'm sending you something.
Cool.
Come on, man. There we go. Okay, I just sent you something in Zoom.
Okay.
So you can do with that knowledge what you will. And I'm going to come back to the convo in the meantime. You can let me know. Where was I? Yeah, so anyway, go ahead. Draxus, I think you were just about to say something.
Yeah. Draxus looks between the two of you and looks at his recording unit and says, Elu, while we're standing here, where to from here? I know that was this the path we chose that will have a bridge? I forget. Have we already crossed the bridge?
You have not yet. And she says, we're about an hour away from our destination. And at that time, we'll be able to perhaps see something of what we need, assuming, of course, they let us in with trained beasts in our place. But first span is only about an hour away.
With the Governor Fen Haddock, right?
Yes. If I know him, he's not going to be happy to have us bringing a dire wolf within the premises.
Would he reward, maybe, the, bringing it in like a bounty? I'm sure this creature has threatened the area.
And she points down to the severed head, and she says, he'll reward that. Not, and then she points back at where Titus and Nulls are speaking to Gmork. Not, and by the way, the name is Gmork, in case you're questioning, G-M-O-R-K, Gmork. May or may not be a reference to something. And points back and says, not that. Not at least while it's living.
The minute she says that, I'm going to go snag those heads.
Okay. These are big ones, though, just so you know. Like, Fob, they're not like you can throw them into a bag. Like, the head is like the size of your torso. It's a big, big head.
Okay, well, you see Fob kind of contemplating the head and clearly trying to figure out what would work.
I would love the image of you, though, trying to, like, use it as a backpack, like, just sling it on. You know what I mean?
You never know.
So wait, there were 3 wolves.
There were, yes.
Oh, okay, we.
One
beheaded
of them
2.
is just dead normally, like
I see.
whatever.
Oh, okay, got it. Draxus will say, "All right, well, I will go inform our other friends while you two can continue brooding over here."
And as you head over to do that, Fob, Elu sort of looks to you briefly and then says, "I don't know, Fob. Darman said that these ones were trustworthy, but how can we trust those who would... What is Null's doing?" She started
Bob
saying
would
something
like-
and changed it. Yeah.
Bob would like to know, like when you say he'll pay for the head, would he perhaps accept something like the ears?
And she kind of says, I imagine, or the pelt, possibly.
Those are big pelts.
And she nods. They are. It's bigger when it's on something living. And she says, do you trust them, Fob?
Bob trusts very few people. Bob is willing to go along with this group. They haven't. I mean, this is odd, yes, but they seem to be from a very far away place. And Dolls is not from a far away place, but she might have been infected by their dangerous ideas. Who knows? But it'll be interesting. So Fob will be here.
And she nods and she says, very well. Just keep that dagger of yours close to hand. I don't know when the next time they'll choose to do something else interesting. So Draxus, as you walk over, you see Nulls there with the great wolf and Titus next to them. And Elu says, we should not take too much longer here. Should get to first span while we are still in light.
Yeah, and there's this beeping noise that's been getting louder. So I'm not incredibly interested in finding out what that is right about now.
Beeping noise from what?
Now you can make a perception check for me, Draxus, now that you're back over there.
Okay.
And now that it's been pointed out.
All right. 12.
Yeah, you don't hear it very well, but there does seem to be a faint, regular beeping, which is getting louder.
I lean close to the wolf, the living wolf, to see if the beeping's coming from him, from Gamork.
And Gamork kind of like, as, it senses you near him, and it says, it is not coming from me. The sound is a sound of vengeance. Would you stay to see vengeance visited? Or would you wish to escape the storm? And now the beeping has become quite loud, and there are 2 beeps. Beep, 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 beep. One coming from each dead wolf. Beep, beep, beep,
Oh.
beep, 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 beep.
And Null says, hey, the wolf says it's the sound of vengeance. We might want a book.
Or a booby trap. We got to get out of here.
Okay, what are you doing? I need decisions immediately.
Let's go.
Everybody's running.
All right.
Everybody's running.
And
So-
Draxus has
in
an
the same
action too.
direction.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, Draxus.
I will use the prime talent push to push one of the bodies away from us.
How much can a push push? How much can a
How
push?
much could a push
Push,
if a
push.
push?
Could
Okay,
push,
let's see.
push.
Yep. A gravity wave lashes out from your hand at a target within range. Make a ranged channeling attack. Must make a strength saving throw. On a failed save, you can push the target up to 10 feet away from you.
Okay. Nah.
So if it were alive, it would have pushed
Yeah,
it,
it will
but-
automatically fail the save. That's not my issue. I'm thinking
Yeah.
one, you might be better served. Like running might go faster than just pushing it 10 feet. Also, you can only do one target if I read that properly,
Right.
and it's coming from 2 separate ones. But it's up to you.
Mm-hmm.
Beep, 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 beep.
Jeez. I mean, is anyone super close to the dead wolves right now?
Only you. Beep, 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 beep.
Okay. All right, I'll run.
What's Gamork doing?
Gamork waits and kind of like, and then starts loping, and you're struck, Titus, as you're running away, how easily, even in its hurt state, it just, like, you're running along and suddenly, like, just several strides and it's already past you, right? And Jaraxxus, you get probably just outside of, you manage to run just enough, and as you all turn, there is a and both wolves explode in bone, flesh, and metal. Just explosions of shrapnel everywhere. And and as you sort of are watching, and it echoes across the valley, birds, like as all them fly away. And the Gamork, who's sort of, loping along, says, as it's sort of almost, I would say not shouts, but kind of growls as it goes along, "You see what I mean? Vengeance from my pack. Vengeance. What a beautiful sound." And then
But it didn't hit anybody, right?
Right, it did not. And so
So can Nall say something to
yeah,
that?
sure.
Another loss is all of us are unscathed. You do stack your losses, don't you, Gamork?
Unfortunate. Most unfortunate. But it is a warning. Not mine, though, one who lives in the dark. It is a warning from beyond. Will you have the wit to heed it?
I already told you where I live.
Yes. We will see if you navigate through it with your body as much as your words.
Same to you, blind one.
And it sort of lopes along. You notice, by the way, that it's now, it does have its head slightly kind of tilted in an odd way, but it seems to be able to lope fairly well. I mean, not like, it's not going at top speed, but it seems to be able to lope fairly well, albeit, in one direction away, basically. But it is able to run, although blinded. And once the explosion, settles down, you can see that there's nothing left of the wolves. I am curious whether or not Fob was able to get any of the ears off the creatures first. Like maybe one ear, Fob, or were you able to get them all off? Because I don't know how fast you could cut, like...
I don't know. Let's say 2 ears.
Okay, that's fair enough. Is there any slight disappointment in Fob? Like, oh, God damn it, I was going to get the other ones.
I was going to get the other ears. I that's good coin down the... Yeah.
Yeah.
But that does beg the question, is there anything, like you said, there were shrapnel and pieces of bone that flew everywhere.
Yeah.
Is any of that retrievable?
No, not now. It's obliterated. I mean, it's not atomized, so you could get you could go back and get like a twisted piece of metal probably, or like things that I won't get into because they're a little overly graphic, but like parts of the bodies, but there's very little left. Very little left. Also, I will note for both Titus and for Jaraxxus, but I'll emphasize Titus on this one. Titus, that explosion was far beyond whatever a small little thing could have been in there. That explosion was enormous, and as Elu was running alongside you and then sort of looks back, she says, "You can see what it means to trust one of these creatures. That explosion only happens one way. That's Magitech right there. That's the energy that it releases. And the only thing you can think of, Titus, that has energy like that in that small a package, relatively speaking. I mean, I know it was big, but it was like a 50-foot sphere, basically, between the two wolves. The only thing that has that kind of power that you know of is Saurium. But that doesn't mean this is Saurium. I'm just saying it had that kind of level of, explosive power.
Right.
And Elu says, now that we've done enough with our taming, she says, kind of glaring at the wolf, which kind of just looks blind, in this direction, but then its teeth bare, almost in a small grin. And she says, can we get on to first span now before anything else comes to hear that?
Titus is gonna look at her, look back at Gamork, and then look back at her again and says, "You really know how to make friends, don't you?" And just keep moving forward.
And she shakes her head and says nothing other than just to glare back at the wolf. Okay.
Jaraxxus will
go ahead,
go
Jaraxxus, yeah.
back and grab the largest bit of shrapnel metal that he can. Like,
Okay.
how big are we talking?
I
know you
mean-
said not atomized, but
Yeah, it's like the size of like a
Oh, great.
small little remote, like basically. That's it.
Okay.
That's the biggest piece.
okay. Yeah,
Also
I grab,
very twisted.
sure. I grab a piece of that, and then as I walk back up to the group, I sort of say under my breath, but because I'm not exactly sure how this Jaraxxus doesn't know how the speak with animals thing works. But Jaraxxus says, I mean, I suppose Elu does have a point. We can be sure that we are walking with a living bomb. Which, depending on what we run into, may be to our advantage, but, and Jaraxxus just sort of looks at the wolf. I'm not opposed to just getting rid of it now. It doesn't seem to want to be our friend, unfortunately. But with no response, we continue, I suppose.
About an hour later, roughly speaking, you find yourself coming up to this. Now, if New Camimport looked like kind of a frontier town, it might be better able to suggest that this looks kind of like a sort of I guess a village might be a better way to put it. There are a couple of buildings in town, but nothing near like what you saw at New Camimport. And as you are sort of on your way into this place, Elu sort of slows down just before you're about to take the turn where you're going to be like visible to them, the people in the village, and says, "Listen, arguments aside about whether we should or should not have befriended this thing, seeing this creature with us is liable to cause panic. We must do something about it. We can't simply walk into this village with this by our side."
Okay, so Nulls can't talk to it right now because the
Right, wore off.
spell would have worn off.
Yeah.
But what she can say is, well, a dire wolf ain't going to befriend anybody it doesn't want to, and we sure ain't going to tame it. Now, allies are not friends, but sometimes you need them. If we go into New Camimport and he's here when we come back, we'll know which side he has truly taken.
First span, you mean, right? No, not
Yeah.
New Camimport. You mean this village?
Sorry, yeah.
Okay. And so it doesn't do anything yet because you can't talk to it, obviously. It's just sort of, he's been sort of, again, loping along next to you, not saying anything. Still hurt, but, obviously, but is not slowed down over much, apparently, by its wounds.
Jaraxxus will go to Titus and say, the only further thing of use I can think of is if you and I can try to piece together how this whole rig works. I feels like a long shot, but maybe even remove that explosive before it goes off.
Remove the explosive, figure out how it's communicating, what else this tech is doing, and from what I can tell, they don't have Sorium here, but the properties, the energy signatures, the source is very similar.
Oh.
This Magitech it's not too far off to assume that we understand how it works, if not the details.
I could use some sorium. I turn to everyone and say, all right, well, before we go in, I think we're going to take a look at this wolf. See if we can't understand this attachment to it. And Duraxis pulls out, well, he pulls out some rope because I bought an explorer's pack for myself and for Titus.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And there's some rope with it, and he pulls out some rope and says, if it starts to snap at us, then maybe we can bind its jaws or something. But we just want to see how far we can get with this. And I suppose we'll, yeah.
Titus is going to turn to Knowles and ask, how often can you talk to it?
How often can I talk to it?
Well, speak with animals is, I think, first level. So you have right now, you would have another first level slot. I need to confirm it's first level, but I think it is. You have another first level slot. So however many first level slots you have, that's how many times that you have left. That's how many times you can cast it. You used one of those first slots as well on Healing Word. So I don't know how many slots you've got left. You probably
I've got 2 left.
Okay, so then twice more until you get a short rest and can regenerate some of that.
Long rest.
Beg your pardon. Long rest.
Okay. I don't know how I would explain that to Titus, though. Well, I can't do it all the time.
You said we need to gain its trust to build some sort of respect. Yes?
Exactly.
Jaraxis and I have an idea about how we can help it and also get some insight into some valuable resources that he and I need in order to best do our parts in all this. But we need it to let us examine it, and it needs to trust us. I'd like to start by you communicating with it, if you can, letting it know that we are first going to heal it, and then we'd like to examine it with our hands. But we have no intent to hurt it in any way or cause it any pain.
And you hear, and you look and you see Elu kind of with a snort is turned away.
I can tell you, Gamork is not interested in being healed by us, and we have not yet gotten his trust. You're going to have to wait a bit before you do any tests. Please trust me on that one.
I don't know if we can. We're outside the village. We can't take him in. If we leave him out here, he'll probably run off.
Well, like I said, if he truly wants an alliance, he'll be here when we'll return.
Titus speaks up and kind of looks at the rest of the group, trying to understand something. He says, We're crossing a bridge, right?
I think so. I don't know if
Yes.
Arv is the bridge before.
The bridge is on
or
the
after
other. It's on the other side of the village, but it comes out of the village. Like you have to go through the village to get to the bridge. Yes.
I see.
And we won't be coming back this way, right?
No, we won't.
Probably not for a while.
So we can't really leave the wolf here.
I mean, we can, but
Well, we could, yeah.
if we don't care what happens to it.
If we're gonna get any advantage out of this relationship, we need to build that trust now.
Or we could just give it a shot, and Dr. Duraxis will walk towards the creature. And
Well, Dolls has an idea before that happens. Because the person who needs the most buy-in is Elu.
Mhm.
So if you would allow Nulls to speak to Elu for a second.
We can do it simultaneous. I mean, Jaraxxus, you can start walking towards him, and then you can be like, hey, Elu. You could do that at the same time.
Okay. So I'm going to take Elu aside and have a chat with her.
Okay.
Okay. Can we speak for a moment?
Yes.
You may not like my methods or my means, but that dire wolf isn't alive right now because I need a puppy. That dire wolf is alive because it knows where our foe is and what we're facing. Is an alliance worth avenging your brother?
And you can see she kind of like prickles a little bit at that, and she's kind of like, many things are worth avenging my brother, as you ought to know, Nulls. The question is whether we do something logically or stupidly, and an alliance with that creature is not possible. It is a beast, and it will remember it soon enough, and when it does, you will end up being the one, and the rest of us will end up being the ones that it takes its anger out on. It's not rational.
Well, I've spoken with it. It's a little bit more rational than you might realize. I don't disagree with you. But that dire wolf has all the leads, and we ain't got nothing. And quite frankly, I think you and that wolf are a bit more alike than you may not want to realize. Please take that as a compliment. So, if we got to get into this town and have to leave this wolf, I think you need to tell it that you want it to work with us.
Me?
And
you want me
yes.
to talk to it?
Yes, you. I can translate.
What am I supposed to say to it?
Oh, just be honest. You're very good at that.
Oh, if I'm honest with it, then I won't be speaking with it. It'll be my blade.
No, you're going to use your words first.
What do the others think?
Well, as far as I know, the two gentlemen from the sky want to do some tests on it, but they need Gamork to trust first. And again, if we're dealing with Magitech, and I know a little bit about Magitech, we want them to be able to experiment on whatever is going on with him as much as possible. And this is our last chance.
She sighs heavily and she looks at you and she says, Only because you helped up in Cambria. Only because I've seen what you can do. Am I going to do this? But this is the only time, Nulls. And if you're wrong, and if that thing hurts anyone else here, I'm going to hold you responsible. You.
If he tries to hurt anybody here, I will take him out.
Fine, bring your dog over here.
So
at this point you would be, I imagine, like Jaraxxus, I assume you would have stopped halfway because she was talking to them, but you tell me, like, if you were like, all right, going to do tests, like, I don't know if you would stop when this is happening, and I'm aware of the time. So
yeah, I think Jaraxxus would have gone up to test its temperament. Like he's thinking, hey, all this talk of it trusting us, I mean, it was pretty docile after we killed its buddies, and it's blind. Maybe it'll just let me poke around a bit.
So when you come up close to it, you hear it, and you can feel the sort of heat rising from its body.
And Jaraxxus is going to, with his best memory, I won't stretch so far as to say that I can like pull up footage of the direwolf explosion or anything, but trying to remember around where the explosion happened, guessing around, you know, the torso or the gut or somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
He's just gonna look without touching for if there's like a more intricate part of this metal adhesive, if there's a part that seems like it could house an explosive.
Mechanics check for me, please.
Great. I'm going to use my inspiration on this,
Okay.
just so I can see it. And then if I have to go, then I can point it out, be like, hey, it's right there. All right, bye.
I'm going to the village. Ah.
Okay. All right, so that's a 15. So that's a 15.
Okay. There does seem to be most of the armor plating is just that. But there does seem to be one section towards the sort of right, towards the bottom of the right side, basically, that seems to have what looks like at first it looks like it's just a design, but you think it's actually maybe a switch that is turned, and you don't know what that connects to inside. But the switch almost looks like a latch that you would use to like turn and then open something. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jaraxxus will start to reach towards it, and then
At which point Nulls probably would have come back, and the
Yeah.
thing is sort of growling anyway. At which point
Yeah.
Nulls, you'd be over there seeing
better
Jaraxxus
judgment.
aiming for the.
Yeah.
his better judgment would before he makes that move, he's identified it. That's enough. So he'll turn and see what Nalik says.
Okay.
So I just need to go ahead and cast that spell correct, and then the way I guess this will play out is to let Elu speak to Gamork and just assume that Nulls is translating everything,
Okay.
so I don't have to go back and forth,
Yeah.
back and forth.
The
And
go
that Nulls is translating back what Gamork says. So I just need to go ahead and cast that
Great.
because I have the slots left. Okay.
Jaraxxus
So-
will turn to everyone and say, right there is a latch, a section in the metal that looks like it can be opened. I would leave it up to the group. And given that I have to go, I point it out. And if y'all, I mean, I don't know if this would be the time for us to save it to next session or whatever, but if y'all decide to go in or not, that's up to you. But otherwise, I need to zip out. So good luck. Best of luck.
Thanks, Zach. We will see you for our vocalists, I think, coming up
Right.
next. And otherwise, I'll see you, of course, for ArvCon as well. And thank you for that. And I'm going to show everyone the picture they see, but I know you need to bail. So, because this is what you all see as you are in view of the
Wow.
village. On the other side, as you're deciding what to do, you all get a look at the opposite side of the cleft at something which is known as Fingerbone Spire. And as you're deciding what to do with this latch on the wolf, with that picture in the background, I think we will bring our session to a close. I think it's appropriate spot. Zach, good stuff on this. And anything you want to quickly mention before you bail out?
No, that's great. I think a lot of fun. Of course, every time you get this group of people at the table, we're going to find the moral conundrum wherever it can be found. We're going to dig for it, and we're going to poke and prod with everything. So this has been very, very interesting. I'm excited for what's after this, and I am enjoying the drama between the party. I think it's really kind of developing our characters and everything. I'm trying not to play Jaraxxus as like this sort of altruistic, empathetic person. He's kind of it's hard for me, but he's going to be more of a, all after the what he needs for his recordings and his presence and his reputation.
He's like one of those live streamers, right? Like,
exactly.
you know what I'm
like
saying?
One of those
like
Twitch
these
live
people,
streamers.
yeah, like
you
you can't, these people.
Yeah.
Look, I mean,
they're a monolith, all of them. So anyway, all right, yeah, no, it was a pleasure. And I'll see you all next time.
sounds good. I'll see you on Tuesday night. Thanks, Zach. We get some love
Perfect.
for Zach, folks. Can you leave your camera on, or is that cool? Or,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Mhm.
Thank you, Zach. and I am going to. Well, I was going to go over to the cams only, but I want to leave this up so that people can see the pictures. They've got that there. Kat, first of all, great sneak attack work from Fob. Everybody in that combat was just like, you all came to play. I think there was one not great roll. Every other roll was just like crit, hit, bam, boom. Like it was no joke. And Fob did some serious work with the others, because whatever ends up happening with Gamork here would not have been possible if you were still dealing with 3 of these dire wolves in the same way. So like Fob's having to do that was important. The other thing I really liked was seeing Fob's reaction to, hey, this is some coin that I can get. And Fob being like, I don't know how you would describe this, but sort of being like, listen, I don't know what's going on with these ones either. I don't trust anybody.
There's
I'm just
money over here.
yeah, there's like money to be gotten, but like I don't know what they're doing with this dire wolf. That seems kind of crazy to me, but I don't. So I was curious about how Fob felt about it. It was interesting to see that play out and to see, because Fob doesn't know Titus and doesn't really know Jaraxxus, so like getting this kind of like, I don't know what the deal is with that, and having Elu being like, look, what this problem is, and Fob being like, well, yeah, but like maybe there's money to be
Fob
had.
is super impressed by the Paladin, because Fob saw the Paladin just lopping off the head and stuff. So Fob's got a little bit of hero worship going on right now, is part of what's going on. So yeah.
How did you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks find you next?
It is always a pleasure to play with this group. It's always a lot of fun, lots of great moments, and it's always, it's fun sometimes when we do the all story sessions, but I like a little combat now and again with my role play.
Yeah.
So we got a good chunk of that in. Where will you find me? I will be at Gen Con. I will be at FanCon in Chicago the following week, and I'll be at Dragon Con. So like all of those are far out, which is to say I'm gonna be sitting on my ass at home month or so.
Absolutely. And then you got your big thing coming up in November, right? For the
Wayward
Spanish castle, thing.
It is still. We've been. It's doing really well, and people are applying, and I'm super stoked. And no matter what, I have gotten to run around this year saying, I've rented a castle in Spain for the November.
That is definitely a life goal right there. That's pretty awesome. But thank you, Kat. It was a pleasure to see you back in action with Fob today. And we will have you back for ArfCon here for this session 2 in a couple of weeks. Toya, I'll tell you what, sign me up to get to role play basically the wolf from the nothing, from the Neverending Story, up against Nulls. There was a funny moment where you did that. It was all super epic when you're like, oh baby, I was born. I think we have a command for that now that Triff had put in. Like, I was born in the darkness, and I had this image of like, you were born, I was made, shaped by the darkness. I was waiting for like some Bane, commentary. But no, it was very, very lovely role play, and I thought that one of the things that you did best was you didn't play it as like, no, we are your friends, no, we are gentle creatures, but Nulls really kind of played into this idea of like, this is a dire wolf. Like, it is a dire wolf that has just had its pack slain. It's the alpha dire wolf too, so it feels already like it's got a lot going on, and it's not going to be like, yes, please give me belly rubs. So Nulls went at it in a different way. And very clearly, this is still a random element. Like, you've earned enough of its respect that it's not just going to try to attack you again this second, but it's definitely not like, all right, I'm on board then, it's going to take a while. So I thought it was really interesting watching Nulls play that out. And obviously the College of Tales thing that you gave for Elu helped. You obviously healing Titus was a big deal as well. So there was definitely a lot of that going on, but it'll be interesting to see, I think, how Nulls plays that out, because Elu is not really sure what the hell Nulls is doing, and is just like, you can't do this, and so your Nulls figuring out how to navigate all of that while still trying to have this thing as an ally is going to be fascinating. So I really thought that was neat. How did you feel about today? Where will the fine folks find you next?
Well, first of all, hooray for rolls that don't suck.
Yes, that was nice. That was
nice. I'm super intrigued by Gamork. I'm not saying Nulls definitely doesn't trust Gamork, but Nulls sees the opportunity of having Gamork as an ally. And the thing about allies aren't necessarily friends. Allies won't necessarily, have each other's backs when it ain't wartime. But, I would rather have Gamork in the story right now than have Gamork dead. So
I would
I'm-
also rather have Gamork in the story because he's really fun to see how he plays out with all of you.
Yeah, it's really interesting, like the follower of the nothing, because like I really found like I got so used to horror very young that horror does not scare me at all. But I always found that wolf in the nothing really terrifying.
Oh God, when
And,
when I was a kid, that freaked me
Yeah,
out.
especially
oh my
when he's
God.
in the cave. He's just
Oh, I
hanging out
know.
in
And
the
he's just
cave.
like, you don't know the nothing. Like I was just
Yeah.
like, oh, like one of the most effective uses of something which doesn't move for most of that
Right.
scene. It's just there. But like,
To the point where
whew.
when I was a kid, I would have a really hard time even rewatching that scene.
Yeah. Oh
you
yeah.
know? But yes, I'm super intrigued by Gamork, and Nalls is going to keep her word. If Gamork acts out of pocket, she's gonna have to put the puppy down. She don't want to put the puppy down, but she will have to.
Mm.
And I'm let Elu be mad. Elu can be mad. But like I said, there are, I think, greater potential rewards. And maybe Gamork goes on his way at some point. He doesn't decide to become part of this new pack, but getting whatever we can out of him for right now, I think, is more important than having Elu lop his head off and obliterating him.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm super intrigued to see where that goes. As far as where I'm going to be, I will also be at Gen Con, and for the rest of the year, my butt gonna be at home. So
Yes, Toy has been a huge part of doing things for the narrative track, game narrative track at Gen Con as part of Symposium Programming. And the Symposium Programming folks who are watching this, many of whom in chat know about this directly, put together, in particular, Emily, who's done an incredible amount of great work on this. I am very, very pleased with the whole business. Like, I think the symposium is coming together very nicely. The reaction that we had when we announced the special guests, who were all really amazing, really, really amazing. And then the guests overall, just all of the amazing authors. So Toya deserves a lot of credit for the game narrative side of things, bringing in people on that score. So it's going to be great. And you've seen some of those events. Please don't forget, by the way, chat, to wish list. If you're going to Gen Con, wish list those events too. We've got workshops that are being given. We have reviews, like portfolio reviews and things like that. So go on there and wish list it. And I think it goes live May. Oh, God. I don't remember when exactly it goes live. It's in a couple of weeks that it goes live, that the actual events are able to be bought. But it's the 21st. Thank you. But like, you can wish list them right now. So anyway, sorry, didn't mean to derail. But thank you, Toya, for that, and great work on Nulls. Where, other than that, I know you said you'd be at home. Anything you want to push about a book that's coming out, or thing you got? You're like, oh, you should all check this out, etc.
So I think I've already mentioned branching story, unlocked dialogue, the design and writing of visual novels, which came out earlier this year. It's not just about visual novels, but about like branching narrative in games in general. In August, the second edition of the Game Narrative Toolbox will be out. I've been working on proofreading the proofs with my co-authors on that. And just really looking to get back to doing my own writing instead of client writing in general. So
good stuff, Toya. Always a pleasure. Thank you. And you will all see Toya here in a couple of weeks for our Friday session, which is going to be eventful. If you want to know more about how they handle this wolf and deal with this bridge and this village and this thing you're looking at, well, you got to be here for ArvCon Day 2 on Friday in a couple of weeks. Thank you, Toya, as always. Moving right along to the awesome Johnny Pittman. Johnny, Titus really was the one who got us started a little bit on this idea, because originally it was like get a mount for Titus, but then obviously it changed into something a little bit more than that, and your ability to mechanically sense the wires and sort of the connection that was part of that was obviously a big thing, and it made something that was really important in terms of what was going to happen with this particular creature. And, like when you were actually made a target, Titus versus a dire wolf up close is going to be rough. And like the first time, it actually rolled not super great, but even as it was, it did, you were down to 7 points of damage at one point, at 7 hit points before you got healed a little bit. You're still 14 out of 21, but before you got healed a little bit by Nulls. So it was a little bit scary, and I imagine that there's a practicality about what Titus is doing, but also maybe there may be a sense of like, because you can't fully understand it, all you hear is just a bunch of growling back and forth. Nulls may have kind of an understanding of Gamork that Titus doesn't have, but Titus, I don't know how you imagined Titus sort of looking at this thing, but it's no joke. Like, it's a little bit scary and dangerous, and all that sort of thing. So thank you for the bits. You're all still 20 out of 20. Thank you for the extra bit. And again, as a reminder, chat, if you enjoyed what you saw, don't forget, bits that are cheered during this session go to the players. So we have 101 bits collected so far, so any cheers that go are distributed among the players at the end of the month, so keep that in mind. So Johnny, yes, how did you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks find you next?
So as everybody else has said, always a great time playing with this group. This story has become incredibly intriguing for any number of reasons that we could go into. But as you're talking about the direwolf and the way that this story has evolved, because Titus decided, oh, this seems like a neat idea. That was me joking around, being funny about it. But what we've got now is an intriguing subplot that's just explores probably the morality of whatever's going on here.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really cool. I think Titus ultimately was seeing this as a situation where he didn't understand what was going on to essentially, a lower life form, right? In Titus's experience, in the galaxy, there would be a variety of different life forms. He's not going to assume that whatever's happening here is just it's just something we just eliminate. So
Right.
The approach is going to be to explore that kind of a thing, regardless of how it started as a joke. So I'm looking forward to watching Gnarls develop this relationship, and maybe we actually get an ally out of it, or maybe we get a great antagonist for you to continue to voice for a little while until it suddenly decides to bite the hand that's feeding it. So anyways, next place you're gonna find me is back here in 2 weeks for the next session, and I'm definitely looking forward to it.
It's going to be a good time. And yeah, also wanted to note quickly, good thing too, that Nulls also made that perception check as the beeping was happening, because at that point, I like the idea that everyone, I think it was Zach at one point, the first time I did the voice, the grrr thing, and Zach's face was just this sort of thing. And then when there was the beeping, and all of you at the same time had an identical expression where you were like, oh, that's bad. That's really bad. And everyone in chat's like eyes like, oh, no. So it was a good thing that Nulls had been able to hear it to let you folks know. But this was wonderful work. Very good role play from everybody. And yes, it was good combat as well. Good teamwork too, about, here's the thing, look at the wires, sever the wires. And yes, it's nice to have rolls that don't suck. That was a very good roll session for everybody too, in addition to role play, if you'll pardon those puns. But I will see you folks here in less than 2 weeks. I will see you here on the 26th, I believe it is, in the evening for day 2 of ArvCon and for day 13 of Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks. Chat, can we get some love for the amazing players? Wonderful work today from Johnny Pippin, from Toya Kristen Finley, from Kat Rambo, and of course from Zach Clay. Thank you, players. Great work, and we will see you all soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye for now. All right. Shout out as well to this music, which was very low and in the background and everything, but I was digging it because it was kind of setting up the sort of otherworldly feel of it. Yeah, that Gamork creature, then its discussion of the nothing and all that was so powerful for me as a kid. So poignant. A lot of that movie is the kind of a movie that you wouldn't want to it's a movie that you're just geez, they did some serious stuff back then. But I love that. And did I think that they were going to actually befriend one of these armored dire wolves? Not befriend it, but try to get some information from it, and then it's going to come along? No, I did not. And that's one of the great funs of doing role playing is that you don't know necessarily what's going to happen. They're building their own story and figuring out how they're going to handle these things of like going through the village and going across the bridge and all that is going to be slick. I am very excited to see how things happen on Friday, and you will get a chance to find more about that information. More about that information as we come through because it's going to be pretty sweet. I am excited for it. If you liked what you saw and heard today, may I ask you to follow the channel? May I ask you to check out our YouTube where you can see past broadcasts of this and other streams with !ArvTube. Discord is !ArvCord. That's where you can join us in between streams. We have a wonderful community here. I think the best community on Twitch. And you get a chance to see it not only in channel but also in Discord and elsewhere. !ArvTweets is my Twitter where you can follow me. I'll always post when I'm going live. I'm also going to be posting on there announcements about various things relating to my ArvCon charity convention, which is coming up in less than 2 weeks, as I mentioned. I'm going to mention this first ahead of time for a change. This right here is the Klein, Klein, Klein. That is the kickoff event happening Thursday, May 25th, a live in-person event at the Klein Memorial Auditorium in Bridgeport, Connecticut at 6 p.m. Eastern. It will feature Zach Clay that you just saw. It will also feature C.S.E. Cooney, Carlos Hernandez, who previously played in Esper Genesis on this channel. Carlos did, and you've seen Claire here in various ways on Negocios Infernalis and elsewhere. And also she's played at Gen Con with me in my Symposium game last year. And of course, Robert Austin James, otherwise known as Darkside Rob, who of course has played with me as well on campaigns, as you folks know, as many of you know. Those four are joining me with the high school winning student of the essay contest that we had, Adam Petrosino, who is a senior at a Fairfield High School, and is going to be joining us. And the 5 players are going to be going through my night at the Forbidden Library in front of that audience. It's going to have cameras. We're going to be mic'd up. We're going to have all kinds of cool stuff. We're going to have giveaways for people, and I'm going to be announcing the corporate sponsors for that officially. I'm also going to be showing the character art for the players, and then we're going to be talking last of all about the entire schedule for the event. I've already discussed it in sort of general terms, but I'm going to be announcing the full schedule, the full-out schedule for ArvCon as a whole next week. So we got a lot going on with that in advance of the week after when we're actually going to be running it. But if you would like to see any of this, and if you want to see the kickoff event happen, may I suggest this, which is to go over and check out the Klein. You can buy $5 tickets to see it in person. We have a couple of people who are actually coming to see this in person. Drew, Hillness are going to be there in person, and I'd love to see others there if they're close enough and can make it. Otherwise, those of you who can't make it and are not in state or close by, you can still come to see it if you pay $5 for the online ticket. And all of this is, of course, to benefit the Damon Runyon Cancer Research Foundation and also the Klein. Both of those, of course, are nonprofits. Most of ArvCon, though, is dedicated, of course, to the Damon Runyon Cancer Research Foundation. And so, yeah, you can find out about that on Twitter. Website for all of this is arvineleron.com. Financially, !Arv Shop is my merchandise area. That is the merchandise that I mentioned previously, which is under construction. My daughter, as we speak, is doing work on this. And then we have, of course, that's the shop, !Arv Shop. The Patreon is !Arvtreon. That's sitting right there. 18 patrons, $169 per month. That, as we move that up and over 200 and continue to move it in the right direction, that is something which really allows me to do things like the video that you saw and you'll be seeing again at the end of the stream today. It allows me to do things like commission overlays and stuff like that, and we can do all of that if you are willing and able to support us. Plus, you get cool stuff for yourself individually in terms of epic character backgrounds and poems written about you and stuff like that, and inspirations, of course, to help our players. Beyond that, of course, we have subbing to the channel, which is always appreciated. Subbing to the channel lets you get those custom sub badges. We had a couple of people who subbed and gave gift subs today, including to author Little Badger from Prince Justin, for which I'm most grateful. That also, if you support at a high enough tier, allows you to inspire the players, but otherwise it still gets you inspiration, emotes and that custom sub badge that you can use everywhere across Twitch. So that is always appreciated going through. And again, if you cheer during this session, any cheers during the Mysterious Peaks sessions will go directly to the players. So those bits, we have 101 tonight, but any bits that are cheered will go directly to the players, and I will distribute them at the end of every month. So we're going to see about that. On that front, I owe you enough said. What front? What front? What are we talking about? What did I do? What did you do that I need to know about? What do you mean? What front? What are you talking about? What front? Front? What do you mean? Anyway, while I'm waiting for that response, on the publishing side, exclamation point Icarus. On the writing front, IOU. Well, you've done many amazing, generous things for me individually and for the channel over many years, which I've mentioned multiple times. Is that what you mean? Because yes, happy to affirm and assert and agree, I think. Oh, the writing review that you want. Yes. That's true. That's true. That's true. Well, listen, I'm still waiting to get the actual, you need to send me the thing that I'm reviewing. You're right. That's true. And you need to send me the thing that you're reviewing that you want me to review, and then I can do that. So yes. But anyway, where was I? On the publishing side, exclamation point Icarus for my graphic novel from Athos Arts, award-winning silver medal, award-winning from the IBPA Benjamin Franklin Awards from a couple of years ago in graphic novels. Exclamation point Library is my Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library. That's my 5e adventure and sourcebook from Alligator Alley Entertainment, which also sponsors and is responsible for this campaign. They sponsor this campaign, and they're responsible for Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks. Can't you stop by and review it? Email isn't secure. Too much work. Can I stop by? Oh, man. Someday, Dragon, someday we will meet each other face to face. Someday when I get out Michigan way, or when you get out East Coast way, or when you go down to Gen Con way, we will meet in person at that time. I look forward to that. So exclamation point, what did I say? Yes. So again, exclamation point Library for that, and exclamation point Greyshade. Greyshade, which is going to be happening. Greyshade is the novel which came out last year, which is the now silver medal IBPA Benjamin Franklin Award winner for this year in science fiction and fantasy. You can order that. It is available right now at that link. You can pre-order Renegade, which is going to be coming out in a couple of months. It's coming out July of this year. I'm very excited for that. And the final book in the Grey Assassin trilogy will be coming out next year. That's Heretic, and that will be out next year. You can also get the audiobook from Trent Sparks, which is out right now at that link and available elsewhere like Audible and so on. And you can also pre-order the tabletop role-playing game by Brandon O'Brien, which is going to be super awesome and amazing. And that's going to be coming out later this year as well. So you can do all of that at that exclamation point Greyshade link. Last, as always, exclamation point BLM, Black Lives Matter. Important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. Exclamation point Help Now, the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Important to reach out to others when you need help and reach out to others when they need help as well. And exclamation point Ukraine, UKRAINE, to help the fine people of Ukraine as they fight back against an illegal and illegitimate war. They are winning that war slowly, but it has devastated their country. This is our chance to step up and help them, and also show that we will help others who find themselves in similar situations going forward. We will be off tomorrow, but on Monday night, we will be back with, and I want to make sure that I get the actual name of it right. We will be back with the conclusion of season 2 of Bag of Giving, and that is going to feature the Die RPG. It will feature players Bendy Barrett and Victor Manibo, Dave Ring, who's been on this channel several times doing Bag of Giving stuff, and Marty Cahill is going to be the GM, all to benefit charity. Again, this is the conclusion of season 2 of Bag of Giving, coming up Monday night, Monday the 15th at 7 p.m. Eastern, and then Tuesday the 16th, we will have our Fighting Fantasy game book playthrough. We'll be finishing up probably Midnight Rogue. That'll be illustrated live by Tari Tunes. We'll also have nominations for the Patreon Field Chat Shows and Game of the Month. At 4:15 p.m., we will have Pen and Pixels over on GOG.com, Talisman Adventures. And at 9 p.m. Eastern, the full, at least the current full crew of the Our Vocalists, Rem Alternis, KP, and Zach Clay, who you just saw, will be back with Apollo Justice, Ace Attorney. So we're going to be getting into some, back into some Phoenix Wright-ish stuff. And then, so that's going to be happening, which is very exciting. And yeah, then we've got Eberron coming up next weekend. And then the week after that, we have got some community D&D stuff going on. We've got ArvCon going on. We've got Jedi Survivor, Chained Echoes, and stuff like that. Obviously, all leading up to ArvCon, which will be at the end of the month. So it's going to be good stuff. We are going to do a raid today because it's early enough and we had a decent turnout today. The way a raid is done is very simple. If you're not a sub, please do this. The Arvanauts have landed, followed by Twitch raid, lowercase Twitch, uppercase R, lowercase AID. If you are a sub, please do this, which is the Arvanauts have landed, and then you can type in Arvany Hype. You can do Twitch raid again. You could do Arvany Roar, Arvany Witch, Arvany Woe, Arvany Smug, Arvany Love, Arvany Blown, all the Arvany emotes you can do when you are brought over automagically. It is good for them. It's good for the channel. So please make sure that you go with us and do that, and then you can feel free to enjoy the rest of your evening. But if you're able to go and do the raid with us, that would be lovely. And I see several people actually that we will be able to do raids for, so that should work pretty well. Yes, okay. All right, I see who we're going to raid. So that's going to do it for me. I want to thank everyone who made this an awesome stream tonight. Thank you to the amazing mods, Dragonspear, Drew the Damager, Emily the Invincible, Hillness, Prince Justin, and Triffity Mats, the best in the business. Thank you to my wonderful Patreon supporters and subscribers, Dragon, Drew, Emily, Hillness, Prince Justin, Triffid, and Critwitch. Thank you as well to Prince Justin for gifting a sub earlier on to author Little Badger. Thank you, thank you. And thank you to my wonderful viewers. Thank you to Rudenello, I think has been lurking for this one. Thank you to Axeman, to Baron Valar. Thank you to Beth in Wonderland. Thank you to Cat Rambo, Creation Vibes, Divinorium. What's up, Div? Thank you to Lisa Bay, to Jagtress. Always a pleasure, Jagtress. Thank you to Katana. Thank you to Kuma. Thank you to Lyshote. Thank you to Mrs. Dunsel. What's up, Mrs. Dunsel? And Optic Nerve. What is up, Optic Nerve? Thank you to Ronald. Thank you to Tensu, to Video Store Cowboy, and thank you to Wenchkin. Hey, Wenchkin, what's going on? And most of all, thank you to Alligator Alley for sponsoring us in Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks. And thank you most of all to my players. Thank you to Johnny Pittman. Thank you to Cat Rambo. Thank you to Toya Kristen Finley. And thank you to Zach Clay. Awesome crew, awesome group, and I'm very lucky to have them. That's going to do it for me. Please stick around for the raid, and then we will be brought over automatically to do that raid, and I will see you folks back here on this channel Monday night for Bag of Giving. Until then, everyone, please be good to each other, and have a good night. Bye for now.